Welcome to the Lost Rewatch finale. It's been a long journey, but we made it. How's it going, everyone?
Going good.
Wow!
Great.
Hi.
Great.
And we're. Pardon me?
Okay.
No, it's just there's one lady here and a bunch of dudes. So
Bunch of dudes.
I was told there'd be chicks at this party, and all I got is my wife.
This sounds like a podcast gathering, does it not?
Not our podcast gathering.
Typical geek podcast, right?
But excited to be here. Tonight's the night. Jack,
Wow.
you made it. You made it to the end.
All the way.
Guys, behind the scenes, there were some times that we didn't think he was going to make it, but he did. We're so proud of you.
Are you talking about like he's gonna stop watching or like he's gonna before he finishes?
I
All
don't
of
want
the
to.
above.
I don't want to say that he was huddled in a corner in his office a few times, and I'd like talk him out of it. I can't watch. But he persevered and pushed through it. And
Well, then I had to push through Nikki and Paulo. We're not gonna lie.
Well, didn't
I love Nikki and Paulo.
didn't Mike start one after it, and he's in like season 3? Mike.
Yeah,
Early?
I'm in I'm in the beginning of. We're actually doing the constant this next week, but
Ooh,
Oh, really?
Jack-
good one.
Jack does 2 at a time. We do 1, and we do like 2 to 2.5 hour podcasts. So we are.
You're editing? Just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna. So basically, it's Jack is sort of like the nice magazine you leaf through in the waiting room about Lost, and we're like the encyclopedia sitting on the doctor's shelf
But
about
just
Lost.
the scheduling alone from week to week had to be a pain in the butt. So
I mean, you pick a usual day and time, sort of like what Jack did with this.
different guests and stuff. Yeah.
No,
Good job.
same guy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I have one partner in this, one guy that I'm pushing the button with in the hatch. So luckily, because I can imagine from Jack's perspective, probably the biggest headache that probably caused all this like descent into insanity was trying to book everybody.
That's
to
what I was saying.
go on every
Yeah.
other week.
Week to try to get everybody
Yeah.
together. Got to be like, who am I going to get this week? Who can make it?
I don't want to say that it was like somebody here that he had the most trouble with, Ethan. But
Oh,
listen, it wasn't Ethan. It wasn't.
it's you.
I'm taking it now. In 2 weeks, it's the Ethan show basically.
Ethan is quite the troublemaker. I'm not gonna lie.
I am.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I will say, Mike, Jack, and I do Westworld podcast, and Ethan's contributions to that show through the listener feedback section is some of the best parts of the show.
Absolutely.
I'm nothing without Jack and Eckhart. Nothing.
So are you also not Ethan? Are you the same person?
No. In fact, apparently Jay is the only one who knows actually who not Ethan is, and I've tried
Wow.
information. I am just Ethan.
Do I know?
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Well, I am just honored to have cracked this club tonight. So
But go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry.
So I was gonna say, let's get crack. We can get
Can I just
cracking.
say one thing real quick,
Sure, you can.
real fast.
Yes.
If
Can
anybody's
you say
watching
anything
right
fast?
now, if you haven't done yet, hit that like button. It's important.
Smash
And-
that subscribe.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you gotta hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when the next episode of Crazy Hank TV drops. So
I thought you were gonna say the Lost Rewatch.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I think we're a little bit late on that.
so this is it. But Jack does fantastic programming every single week. He just did one on the Real Ghostbusters, which is one of my favorite cartoon shows of all time. If you
I learned something.
really do a horrible job pronouncing names, definitely check out that video. It's Maurice LaMarche, Jack. Maurice.
It was French. I'm learning French, but I
And
apologize.
and the other one as Dave Coulier. Dave Coulier.
I know I said it wrong, but
What did you say? Collier?
It was like cool. What did you say? It was really funny. I laughed.
I don't know. I knew I said it. I knew I said it wrong. The French guy, I wasn't sure. I just like yeah.
It's not even French.
Cut
Canadian.
It sounds French.
Cut it out. Quit it. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
But anywho, definitely
You don't
hit that
know how to
subscribe button and
pronounce
like
his
button.
name.
All right, there you go, Jack. I did your plugging for you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the insult too. So we had the Lost finale. What were your guys' thoughts? Let's start with Pat. What was your thoughts on the Lost finale?
Well, I was happy to watch it this weekend to get ready for this, but I was not really emotionally prepared to cry a lot with my dogs watching me, wondering why I was crying so much.
Aw.
Well, that's what
it
you
was-
don't have your dog with you. That's how the
Yeah.
show ends. I feel like that triggers you.
But no, I mean, you're right. There's something about Vincent being the best dog in the
Mhm.
universe and making my dogs look bad because they were judging me when I was crying watching the show rather than really providing the proper amount of
Did
support.
they just like
for
come
it.
up right next to you and just like give you?
They were looking at me. They were like looking at me, and but it was fun because my dogs really were getting into there was exciting points on the show, like when Jack is jumping at the evil Locke that my dogs are really responding to. So I found that very cool how and the music works. I mean, it really communicates to the dogs as well. But what a great finale! Just a great finale.
I can echo the dog thing, and mainly the part that's so in my mind about the Vincent at the end. We had this finale party in LA, and so Colleen and I were flying back from LA, and we're in the airport, and we're just sitting there at this table, and then I think I tell Colleen's like, and then Vincent goes right next to Jack, and then we were crying in the airport, just reflecting on that moment. It was just me that was crying, wasn't it? It was, but anyway.
Well, otherwise,
it probably was.
Jack would have been alone if not for Vincent.
I know, and that's what's so cool about.
Well, that's the thing. I always put the Vincent thing off because I'm always so wrapped up in what's happening now, and then when Vincent comes in, it's like that one final punch in the gut, and you just like lose it everywhere.
Like, best friend.
Yeah.
Well, Vincent was sitting there thinking, "Die already! I don't want to sit here forever." Right?
Oh no!
Vincent's like, I got a new master. I gotta go.
Why? Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, what is your implication that Vincent is like, I don't know, a death dog, that he has to be there every time someone dies?
Well, I'm just saying, it's how much attention did Jack pay to Vincent over the 6 seasons?
I mean, how much attention did anyone pay to Vincent over the 6 seasons?
Rose and Bernard,
sort of,
kind of.
Yeah,
So
he's still alive.
A Dharma dog.
It would just show up like when the plot needed him to show up.
Exactly. We're at the beginning of season 4, and like there's a couple episodes where Hurley has him when he's in Locke's group, and then like they use him for a second to dupe Jack's group, and then he's gone for the next little bit. So he really is sort of like a convenient dog more so than anything.
He's a professional. All his shots were done in one shot.
They fly him in. He comes out. He does his stuff for however many episodes and flies out. He's too bad.
Vincent's like, oh, this is the part where Matthew Fox has to cry, and I gotta wait for him to get all teared up. Oh!
You pull him in the trailer. He throws his cigarette out. He comes galloping out, lays down. Okay.
Yes, Colleen.
This isn't Zoom, is it? There's no hand raised for me. Okay. Theory. I've spent a lot of time in Zoom meetings over the last 11 and a half months.
Well, don't go to the bathroom.
She's on a desktop. I don't know if she can take it with her.
But I've been known to try. Okay, theory. Whenever they do the reboot with like grown-up Walt and Hurley and whoever, Emerson, blah, 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 I bet you will explore how Vincent the dog is like some kind of like guardian, guidance dog to like, the next lifetime.
Yep, I completely agree. I think all reboot / sequel stuff, it's always about them answering those pop culture questions that have been reverberating through think pieces for the past however many years. What do you think though, Colleen? Do you think is it more likely that they'll make a sequel series, or is it more so that they'll like reboot Lost and bring in a different group of people entirely?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's I would prefer,
Reboot all the way.
Well, I would prefer.
I'm going to shout out reboot. Continuation. Sorry.
Like the continuation, like do it with Better Call Saul, right? Even though that was a prequel, but like, we've got the universe, you've got the people. I'm sure some of the actors will be game to come back. Nobody's been working for a year. So I would prefer to see them do that. But if it's cheaper for them to make it, they might just reboot it with new people.
I can't see him rebooting it.
Nah, I think it's a continuation for sure.
I don't know. What do you
Disney
think?
Plus.
I agree, but I also wonder who would be the most likely, who do you think is least likely to appear in the sequel series?
Pellegrino. I don't want him anywhere.
Echo's not coming back.
Echo's definitely not coming back.
I don't see it.
He's
I
not.
don't see Evangeline Lilly or Matthew Fox coming back.
I don't see either of them either. To be maybe Matthew Fox, but I don't see Evangeline Lilly doing.
I would follow.
No, she's off filming Marvel movies and posting troublesome COVID posts. I think she's okay right now.
She doesn't need to though. Like it really doesn't. I think you just follow the adventures of Hurley, Waltz, Emerson.
So it's not going to be Lost: The Cara Dune Adventures. Not happening.
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Retro's in too, so 70s show wouldn't be too bad either. The Dharma years.
Yeah. They could do sort of like an in between thing.
Yep.
They could cover those 3 years, right, where everyone is off island and the others were living in the 70s. They could do something like that if you get Josh Holloway's on Yellowstone right now, right? Like he's active in the scene, so you could bring him back in. Elizabeth Mitchell's always game.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I would love to see the 7th. That would be good.
But Horace would have to come back, and then you'd have to get Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. I forgot his name, Roger.
Well, you'd have to explain Josh Holloway's aging. I noticed in Yellowstone he's aged a little bit.
No, man, you can erase all that.
Okay.
The Irishman.
Post all day long.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Mandalorian. Speaking of the Cara Dune show, just de-age Sawyer and have him appear in the final episode.
I'm kind
To the Mandalorian. Let's do that.
well, I think you do that. What the hell? With the facing, it's deep fake. The deep fake is better than the de-aging, I think, in most cases.
Caleb's in group 2, so I'll have you hold your thoughts till then, Caleb. Thank you.
Eckhart, what do you think? You want to reboot a continuation?
I hadn't really thought about this much because I think I'm thinking about the reaction of the viewers when it aired. And a lot of people, the casual viewers, were so upset because a lot of things were left unexplained. But to me, that always seemed like a really good way to end things. I mean, you want to leave enough mysteries out there for people to talk about this, 10, 15, 20 years later, right?
Right.
So I actually would rather have neither of those things. Just leave it where it is right now.
Because the more answers you give, the more questions people have. Like when they did Across the Sea, where they kind of gave the origin story of the brothers. Well, then everybody was like, "Well, what's Mom's deal? Where'd she come from?" It's like, chill out. Just
who were those people? Why did she leave that village? I will say though, because I agree with that card. In general, I would say like the third option is like leave it where it is. But money. It's also interesting in that Disney Plus UK, I think, now has Lost in it. So it could very much be this thing of like, oh, people are really back into the show now. ABC's like, maybe there's something here for us. And bada bing, bada boom, there you are.
Hey,
I would also say this, like, that we were talking about what actors would participate. But the reality is if you don't have Lindelof working on this, forget it. It just ends up becoming a disappointment.
He ain't coming back.
No.
Would you?
Not a chance in hell.
Eckhart, would you be okay for a Lost reboot or continuation in some form if Lindelof brought his Watchmen writing team to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say Nick Cuse, who kind of helped on Leftovers and Watchmen. I feel like he could be a showrunner, kind of pass the torch, especially the episodes that him and Damon wrote together. Were like on Lost caliber. So this was kind of just a weird and kind of mystery mind-bending stuff. I feel like Nick Cuse would be a great kind of passing the torch next generation. Like kind of like what Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's like Jason Reitman's taking it on from iPhone. And I feel like it's one of those things where yes, Darlton will never come back to do it, but there's still a continuation there. Somebody new that could respect it and do a really good job with it.
What if Disney said, "Look, we're going to give you a lot of money to come back and do it"? I mean, you can never say never because everyone has that. You're going to give me how much?
But I think it's like, yeah, you could. Like, look at Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. You got everybody back, but was it great? Like, was their heart in it? And I feel like if their heart's not in it, give them all the money you want. But like, I'd rather have somebody that can respect it and do a good job with it.
And I think one character that has to come back is Hawaii. I think Hawaii was one of the characters. I mean, it would not be the same without that scenery. And
I agree.
I don't know. With the volume, you don't need Hawaii anymore. Like Mandalorians, I'll just do it in big
True.
That's true. Yeah, just put it in one big green screen to simulate the island.
I want the island.
Yeah.
I want it to be real.
I watched the finale. I watched the finale when it was on a 32-inch, 500-pound tube TV. Hawaii looked great. Now I got a 75-inch flat screen, and Hawaii is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those greens in those bushes and those trees, they always look crystal clear and beautiful and perfect. And it's this color green that I don't even see like in real life. That's all.
I wouldn't, but the Mandalorian, there's so much stuff there. It's like, wait, that was all just in front of a big screen TV. What? But I agree. Like the location is a character in the show, and the way they utilized it, and that was one of my favorite parts. During when it was airing, is Ryan from the transmission just running around Hawaii and just kind of finding all these locations and everything, and what they were shooting and stuff like that, and just how they used every bit of that island to shoot everything in that show is really cool.
I was, if the reboot didn't utilize so much of like just fan service to say, oh, check this out, this is obviously where they played golf or something like that, like all the time, then I would appreciate it a lot more. But I think, you're never going to get anyone associated with Lindelof or Hughes to come back and do it. So, yeah, it's one of those.
I mean, going back to something that Colleen said about if you had like the writing crew of The Watchmen, I would also add to that you'd actually, to do a good reboot of a show or continuation of a show like this, you'd have to do it on something like HBO. Because you can't
I was
do it on
going to
ABC.
say, I don't think the Watchmen writers are going to be able to scale back a lot of their content and profanity if they're like, all right, we get to write Lost, but it has to be. And I know that network standards, I think, have gotten even more lax in the past, 20 years or so. But I think still, even then, we're not near HBO standards of hurling out curse words and nudity and everything like that.
So it is a Disney property, and it won't go on HBO. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to think of all the creative nicknames Sawyer could come up with if it was HBO.
But I do think Hulu could be kind of that avenue. It seems to be not adult, but they have pretty heavy programming on Hulu, and they could stream it there to kind of maybe give it a little bit more, because Disney Plus, you're right, they're not going to do anything crazy on Disney Plus. I just
opening another portal for Disney Plus for adult content. We're not adult content, but like per se, but where
it's in Europe, right? Like Disney Plus.
Well, even here, right?
Yeah, Disney Plus UK, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But so yeah, I don't know. There's ways they could do it, but I agree, it couldn't just be like a straight Disney show, nor an ABC show anymore.
No, you know what? Make it a Disney Channel show. Bring in like the teens, like Teen Aaron and like Teen Gion, and like have them take a trip to the island and have them like get into romantic misadventures.
And we could talk about Gion and how horrible her life is now that her parents decided to kill themselves instead of
Exactly.
You've been hanging around Jack too long. Way too long.
No. This is a pure. I've always had that thought. Like, first of all, I'm sorry. There's a dead horse here. I'm going to beat it for a second. How did he make him
back? So really, you're not out of place.
How do you make himself stay under the water? Second of all, and why did he choose to leave his daughter? Anyone?
He had little equal weight when they walked, just to kind of go extra muscle definition. That's how he stayed underwater.
And he just had those all the time.
Yeah, after having to wear the handcuff for an extended period of time, like he just felt like he needed to have something kind of holding him back a little bit, and he just had those, just happenstance.
Now, he stayed under because he was holding on to his wife. You monster!
I'm the monster.
No, we blame John Locke for this, just like Jack did.
It was his fault, wasn't it?
No, it's not John Locke's fault. Why is it John Locke's fault?
It's always John Locke's fault.
He's dead by that point, right?
Yeah, he was, but he was always sabotaging everyone's way of getting off the island. So
anyway,
at the risk of upsetting Caleb, because I know this upsets him, and it's nothing bad about Juliet, but the line Jack says to the Man in Black while they're letting Desmond down, about how you're not John Locke and you disparage his memory by wearing his face.
Mhm.
Right.
It's one of my favorite lines in the entire series.
Yeah.
And it really brings because I was thinking about Caleb's problem with it, which is it's not have anything to do with Juliet, and it's one of my favorite lines. But it really brings the John Locke thing that Jack was talking about so much full circle as far as just his story arc, and I just wanted to point that out. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole episode.
I agree. And during the time we're doing the podcast, Jack was ardently a Locke hater, always has been. I was kind of like the Locke apologist or the Locke fan.
Fanboy.
Yeah, you were
Absolutely.
you were wrong. You were wrong. That's
No,
okay.
but this at the time, that line that he said, and you disgrace his name or whatever, it was like this vindicating point where
So we're gonna
Locke got like Jack had faith, and he actually believed and knew that Locke was right all along, and that was the vindication of Jonathan Locke.
So we're
Wait, is his name short for Jonathan?
Wait, what?
No.
So
Jonathan Locke.
Jonathan Locke. That
At
can't
least-
be just John.
At least Johnny Locke was not as bad as the Man in Black, and even Jack had some kind of a positive relationship with Locke that he.
Man in Black just wanted off the
Super
island. He just wanted off the island. That's all he wanted.
All right,
Eckhart
so
wants to say something.
I realized something on this last watch around, and it was from some of the earlier episodes, maybe season 3, season 4. It didn't really jump out in the first viewing, which is that Locke's greatest fault is that when something goes wrong where he ropes people into it, and this is before he's Man in Black, he doesn't show any remorse. Like when he messes up, he doesn't show any remorse, and he just kind of figures out some sort of like way to talk his way out of it. And in some ways, that's even worse than Man in Black Locke, because Man in Black Locke owns up to everything that he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But do you
And
think
so
he
that
knows,
when
right? He knows he's screwed up though, Locke, right? Beforehand, he knows he's screwed up, but he doesn't show. He doesn't admit it.
Well, he's had so
I'm
much
not
practice.
even so sure about that. Like there are those moments, like where I forgot it was something in the middle of either the end of season 3 or beginning of season 4 where he really messed up, and he just kind of like, well, I guess we're just moving on.
Right.
He's always
Boone died. Oh well.
Well, but I mean, well. First of all, that's because that's Deus Ex Machina when he's banging on the hatch door, shouting, "I've done everything that you told me to do." So that is a moment I think where he is feeling some remorse. But I think to that point, it shows how much faith can blind you to sensibility completely, right? Because no matter what, he's saying, well, this is what the island wants. This is what the island means. Sure, I'll throw a knife in this chick's back. Sure, I'll do this and do that. just because this is the way that things are supposed to be. And I think it shows that if he does have it shows that, even when you think you are doing good, you're compelled to do bad things in the name of good.
Yeah.
And when you feel remorse for them, you would have to, he's such a slave to his own pride. He can't admit it to anyone, even though he knows he's done something wrong in hindsight.
And it just feels like it gets worse as the show progresses in terms of his just nonchalance about when he causes harm.
Because he's gullible and he's willing to believe. He just wants to believe that he is this chosen one, that he's so great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go back to where he was in high school. And he's locked in the locker, and the teacher goes, "Look, you're never going to be this guy. You're never. Just be happy that you're this guy. Don't tell me what I can't do." Is the first time we hear that line, because he wants to be, and you can see why. He's been in foster care. His mom is crazy. His dad is a con man. You can understand why he is the way he is. That's why his flashbacks are the best, because you get so much of his character and why he is the way on the island. I mean, if you didn't have the flashbacks, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy's just a complete tool." But you get the flashbacks, you go, "Okay, I understand why he acts the way he does."
Definitely, he's a flawed human, but I think Tyrio Quinn is so charismatic that it's hard, at least for me, not to kind of like sympathize with him in some way. I agree with everything that you're saying, that he probably doesn't show remorse, that he rationalizes to support his faith. But I feel that I would trust John Locke more than I would trust the Man in Black. So I feel that John Locke is still better than the Man in Black, who even though he just wanted to get off the island, according to Jack, I think he was willing to do evil to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even sure like what he is, because the original Man in Black is dead. We saw his body. There is some dark force who clearly malevolent, running loose. And I don't necessarily believe Jacob in his descriptions, but I feel that there is a kernel of truth in what Jacob was telling Richard Albert about, trying to contain evil. So I can't back up John Locke being less than the Man in Black.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Speaking of Jacob, you want to talk about the Cara Dune show? Sorry, Twitter people will get that. I think that showing that dark entity and exploring that more goes towards the argument for it to be on HBO.
It won't be though.
Do you think Locke would kill people more gruesomely on HBO? Like slit them in half, or like pull their guts out and wrap them around his body?
John Locke or the Man in Black?
It's both.
Oh, Man in Black.
I think Patrick has a good point there, because about the Man in Black is you don't know where he's coming from, and no one should. He's just trying to get off the island. He's a nice guy.
Whoa! Never said he was a nice guy.
He's a cool guy.
What a great man!
You watch Across the Sea. Dude just wanted to get off the island, and what happens? Jacob, get my mom. He told me I had to kill you.
Well, hey, maybe now that Moms is over and Supernatural is over and whatever show What's His Face was on, I don't know if it's over or not. Maybe they could all come back for the prequel.
I would watch Jenny on that show for sure.
Yeah. I was not coming back.
As long as she does a press conference every week, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! All right, I actually have to hop off and hop on something else. I wanted to come for a little bit though, and congratulate Jack for making it to the end, the beginning to the end. We'll be back here in like 3 years to do it all again, I'm assuming.
No.
Wow, Jack, you are nodding so profusely. I can't believe it. Wow, 3 thumbs up from you. Okay, I'm excited to do it then.
Thanks.
Bye, Mike.
Bye. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, Mike.
Good night.
Let's see. Brian H. says Locke is a perfect representation of the flawed nature of all people. We want love and respect. We make many errors in pursuit of both. Well said, Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah. If he kills one of your relatives, you're okay with it. That's what people don't understand. I mean, he's killing people. People are dying because of his mistakes. I mean, I don't get it.
But I think Diana's a good point. When Man in Black was human, he's okay. But as Smoke Monster, he was no longer human and was evil. And Jack, you were still on Man in Black's side when he was a monster.
I was, because he just went up there. Well, my biggest theory for the longest time was that Man in Black and Jacob were the same person.
Right.
And it almost happened, but the writer said, let's just mix it up and do this and that. Anyway.
They did that personally to make life hard for you, Jay.
Well, here's the thing. I was standing right next to Jack when we having a conversation with Damon and Carlton in person. And you know what Jack said in that conversation? Like, oh man, you guys just do such great work. I really love, the show and everything that you've done. I would never agree with anything you've ever said. And he was so he's being all tough guy.
To be fair, I hadn't eaten all day and I had so many free Mai Tais. I don't remember the conversation.
Was that when Miles was slipping you special treats, Jack?
No. We were all pretty. I was so hammered. I almost got.
You almost got Jeff Fahey killed.
You did.
Yeah,
Like, ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's Jeff Fahey.
I saved Jeff Fahey's life.
Yeah, it was just like, I was pretty.
I literally saved his life. I mean,
it was because you guys did the Patron with Michael.
Yeah,
I did a lot of things. But anyway, back to the show. Was there anything in the finale you guys, whoever who didn't like?
You all,
there's one thing.
Everybody.
there's one thing I want to get to before Jay leaves because I know Jay has to go. Is
Who cares about Jay?
I care about Jay for this one question because he's a musician. Okay. The question is, did you notice the Marshall heads have the Marshall ripped off?
Mm-hmm.
And they leave like the ALL on them, or am I just a stupid dude that notices stuff like that?
No, I always see that, or like any type of brand whenever they take it off, but especially the Marshall. Why do you get down on Locke about killing people?
Are you talking about guitars or something?
Yeah, the Marshall amplifiers.
On
used
on the stage.
Yeah.
They rip off half the logo for some reason.
So they don't have to pay Marshall any fees or something for having their product on the show. It's like when they have like the fake Lay's, it's called Let's chips.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Magnet box.
Or they cover up the logo of the car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's it. Sorry, Colleen.
It's a Mustang, but they cover up Ford because we don't know that that's a Mustang.
I just
You
learned.
have to pay them.
Don't be sorry.
I know.
I love how this. I love Diane's comment is covering up Colleen.
There's nothing. Stand up. Stand up, Colleen. We can see you.
Okay,
There you go.
I just want to say that the part that made me cry the most out of the ending was the part when Christian. Oh, I can sit down again. Christian greeted him and explained to him in the. Sit. It's okay. This microphone moves with me. There's the part when
that clip could be on Disney. Anyway, go ahead.
When he was talking to Christian, he was explaining what was going on to him in the church. I thought that was the part that really the part with at the end when like Ben was like, I'm going to sit out here for a while. And like, everybody kind of made their peace as they were going. But it was the Christian Shepherd part that really got me.
Because you don't expect it, right?
Well, it's not even that. It was just, I don't know. Like I just emotionally tied together with like every time Christian showed up on the island, like as the smoke monster or whatever he was supposed to be on the island. Like the last time I was on, we talked about how, I love the part where he says, "You can go now, Michael." Like, and then just that his dad, who was the reason he was on the plane in the first place. And the fact that he was the one that was, all the best cowboys have daddy issues. And it was his dad at the end that like kind of tied it all together for him. And I just thought that was just so beautiful. And that, don't get me wrong, I'm a crier. Not like Jay's a crier. I cry less than him. But
that goes without saying.
Yeah,
I like when Jack says to Christian, "You want to have a catch, Dad?" Isn't that right? Wasn't that in the movie?
No.
Okay.
But
to add to what Colleen was saying was that actually jumped out at me for another reason too, is that, and I'm surprised I didn't catch this the first time around. Probably I was too emotional as well. But they did a really clever job of turning Christian at that moment into the equivalent of the Greek chorus.
Yes.
Who's really telling the main message that they're trying to drive home in the finale, right?
Yeah.
About that place that you form, their vision of the afterlife is the place that you go to with the people that are most important to you. And I took away that message the first time I watched it. And I remember having this debate with people like the 2 days after the finale. And they're like, F that. They never explained the smoke monster, right? But the fact that they used like this technique of the Greek chorus, literally using somebody who was dead.
Yeah.
To tell the living, the key message. I thought that was really clever.
And that was the moment where we realized that what we had all thought that this was like an alternate timeline was something magical, right? Because we did not expect Christian Shepherd to be walking around.
And that's the exact moment that I got it when Christian said, "And how are you here?" And I went,
"Yeah, right."
When I got it. That's exactly the moment I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's the exact moment that makes me hate everyone that does they're dead the whole time. Or
well, okay. So
they didn't watch it. They didn't even watch it. They heard it from somebody else, and they're just regurgitating.
Remember the issue.
Misconception.
Next day, I think it was like the LA Times or whatever local paper in LA. They literally led with they were dead the whole time.
I know.
We all read it. We were like, no.
Just half-assing it. It was so frustrating, and And yeah, just it.
But is it worth? Is it because the last 10 years I just said I'm not going to fight with those people. So is it worth trying to convince those people?
No, you're not going to convince.
But I know people that people don't get. You said, Ethan, you said you're frustrated with those people. You fight with those people. No, they're not dead. They were not dead the whole time.
Jack, you don't have to like fight them or try to convince them, but it's always worthwhile to stand up for the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is they were not dead the whole time.
Yeah,
but some you can stand up for the truth, but some people are just.
They were only dead for half of a season, just the sideways.
Or hey, we're all gonna die, and that's the whole point. But
spoiler alert!
It could be tomorrow. It could be right now.
I'll give you an existential crisis in the middle.
He literally said that to Zach the other day.
Did you pull a Dr. Manhattan, Jay? You were just like, "Oh, you're alive."
I remember what I say. Well,
I forget what it was.
He usually likes to sit around watching TV all day. I was like, dude, you gotta do. You can't just sit around and do nothing with your whole life. He's like, why? I was like, well, you're gonna die one day, and you gotta make sure you do the most of the life that you got.
You did that. Yeah, a separate lesson. So you actually told him that everybody's gonna die a couple of times.
You should actually just be like, hey, spend the rest of your time collecting toys.
Oh, no more toys.
Much better use.
I put 4 boxes worth of toys for us to like donate or whatever. To clear
Are
out.
the Lost toys?
And when my niece and nephew were over, Zachary went into the storage room and took the boxes out, and now all the toys are on the floor.
But we're not here to talk about the toy collection. We're here to talk about the Lost finale. But I have to go. Jack, thank you so much for having me on. Congrats on making it to the end.
Thank you.
And everybody else.
Thanks for being here. I know your check's in the mail. I know you don't do it for free.
Anyways, Patrick, Eckhart, Bill, Ethan, you guys have done a great job with Jack whenever you have guested on. I think Colleen, you have too. You've been on, right? Yeah, you definitely been on.
I've been on it with you.
I know. I was
with you.
But yeah, it was a great job, and it was a huge undertaking. And Jack, I look forward to talking about Lost with you again whenever Lost comes back. The whole Lost podcast will definitely be back.
Can you get me some water when you hang up, please? Thank you.
No, I gotta jump to my next thing. But again, if you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button and hit that like button. It's really important. It helps out the show and everybody that's in the second round of people. It's going to be a great show.
Just ignore the mispronounced names on the last video.
It was really sweet. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun. Nobody know you'd mess it up except for me because I'm that much of a nerd.
No, I know I messed up. What's his name?
No.
Bye, everybody. Great job.
Bye. Take care.
So, what other parts? Because I got emotional with the Jack and Christian Shepherd scene because they had such a terrible. Is it terrible? But they didn't have a great relationship when he was alive. But at the end, it's like you could, and nobody's a better crier than Matthew Fox. I mean, nobody. The guy is just a fantastic crier. But even, so what other parts made you cry? I mean, there was a couple for me.
I think every musical cue was built to make you cry. I mean, it's amazing what Giacchino does with those cues. So every revelation of, whether it was Sawyer and Juliet, whether it was a Son and Jane, I mean, they all hit me.
Even
I thought it was
part. Even the Shannon part and not Nadia.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of breezed over that.
Well, Christian says something that the reason, and I had never really listened to it before, but that explained why it's Shannon and not Nadia.
Well, Shannon had been to the island. It's one thing, but in Saeed's like afterlife. Nadia was already married to someone else, and so in some ways,
hey Jay,
Saeed had kind of separated himself off not to have a future with Nadia. So his afterlife was exploring this other avenue, and Shannon would be the next step.
Point of order. This was not Saeed's afterlife. This is all Jack's afterlife.
Oh, well, I it's not worth it to me to argue with you on that. But I feel that you could.
The truth is always important.
But that's the truth that we don't know. This is where we have a headcanon versus headcanon type of situation. But no, I take your point. But I feel that at least Desmond, we would agree, is not Jack. Jack is definitely the important person for us to see the show, but Desmond definitely is Desmond, but also like the afterlife operating through Desmond's body in both the island and the Flash sideways.
Well, Desmond's special.
Yeah, well, Desmond is special all the time.
Right.
But I feel that we have to believe that this is actually some shared reality of all of our people who definitely have had some kind of powerful connection with the island, particularly Hurley, because Hurley and Jack are the two who actually were Jack briefly caretakers of the island, therefore connected to the great power. So I feel that power is kind of spread out among our Losties who are there. But I'm happy to listen to you talk about how it's just Jack.
I like that, Ethan. I could talk about that, Ethan, if that's a valid point, because I felt the same way. I don't bring up too much, but I feel like everybody has their group and they move on with. And that was Jack's group. And I think Christian said it. You needed these people. And he does say they needed you too, but that's his group. Now, I would imagine Saeed would have his own group of people he'd move on with. It's the afterlife. So you could have layers and layers and layers of, different afterlives. So I think Hurley had his own. I mean, I'm sure Hurley would have brought his mother along.
Yeah,
I don't know. She's always bagging on him.
but if we get too deep down this rabbit hole, then we get into why some people, I'm not going to say me, don't like a bunch of season 6. And I don't want to do that. I do want to celebrate the finale because I do love the finale, and I did cry every time I watched the finale. Absolutely. When I watched some reaction videos this week, I cried when they cried watching the finale. I love the finale. It brings me I'm an easy crier, but it brings me down every time I watch it. And you're speaking of the main highlights. It's like Juliet and Sawyer, and then there's a lull, and then every time you start to see this thing behind me, like the Jesus in the park, from then till the end, I'm just a bag.
Well, I'm not a shipper, but I gotta say that every time I see the Juliet Sawyer part, it gets me.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because Caleb's in the chat and I have to.
Right. But you do.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. It just they were the perfect. I know most people think Penny and Desmond, but I still say that it's Sawyer and Juliet because they made each other whole.
That episode of LaFleur is so good. It's so good.
And an outstanding episode of Lost Rewatch podcast, if I do say so myself.
But that scene gets me every time. And then when Hurley goes to get Charlie, it just seemed genuine.
Face. Oh yeah.
Because I know they're great friends in real life. It almost looked like, hey, dude, I get to act with you again. It was just one of those scenes, and it just makes you tear up inside. Another scene I teared up inside when Hurley had to drink the water out of the dirty water bottle. I'm like going, really? You couldn't get him a clean water bottle? I mean, it just it's so gross.
That aside, but that scene was so good because it echoed when Jack had these thoughts and Hurley was like, dude, I believe in you. And then Jack goes off and things happen. But then wounded, Jack has to transfer the power to Hurley. And Hurley is like, what? I can't do it. And Jack is like, Hurley, I believe in you. And it's just like, it's good. It's so strong.
I'll do it till you come back.
Yeah, when I was watching the finale yesterday, the thing that jumped out to me in terms of just on a pure acting standpoint, probably the scenes between Jack and Hurley were the strongest of the entire episode. And it was like there were parts of the on island story that just felt kind of very fatigued, right? You could almost see it like in the actors. You could be like, we're running across this part of the jungle again. But Hurley, and especially his scenes with Jack, were probably the most emotional of all. Yeah.
I mean, what really struck me weird this time is, I think I've talked about it on here before, is when Hugo is basically saying, dude, there's no way I'm getting down there's no way I'm getting down the ladder. There's no way I'm jumping on here. And as a big guy, it made me kind of reflect on the representation of big people in Lost, because it didn't happen in other TV shows. Everybody looks like Jack. Everybody looks like Kate, which is great and all. But, as far as like their realism, as far as like kind of like in real life, a guy that's that big would not be able to go down those stairs, would not be able to jump off the thing. I just want to say it's my last chance to say something about Lost and the representation of our big brother in here, which didn't happen a lot. So
of course the bald guy's the biggest goof on the island. So yeah, they kept that tradition. Well, according to most people,
or the savior figure, the Jesus Christ figure, Jack. So it's okay.
Well, let's face it, we're all happy he died. So
well, the other guy Widmore's a millionaire, so you got that going for you.
That's true. But he was a jerk. So
still
rich, but a jerk. I mean, you got to be. Anyway, I was going to say in the scene because one of the best scenes I think in the finale is when Jack jumps up like that to go after Man in Black. Because I remember watching it at the everyone watching it, because then it went to commercial. There was a Target commercial right after that. It was like, wait, what? No! Here's my question is, Man in Black is this close to getting off the island. Jack goes, I'm going to stop you, whatever he says. Why did Man in Black just jump in the water, swim to his boat, and go get on the plane? Why did he turn around and fight? There was no reason for him to go back and fight Jack. Am I right?
He thought he was invincible. Maybe he was just too emotional.
No, he knew he wasn't invincible because Jack punched him.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And he bled. And so he knew there was a chance he could die.
Maybe he didn't know how to swim.
Ooh.
Well, what was he going to do?
He wasn't going to drown. He couldn't not drown anymore because he was mortal.
So what do you have, like little floaties to get himself to the boat?
But Jack, he might not have wanted to try to climb down the ladder with Dr. Jack throwing rocks at him or something. So
you had Sawyer and Kate jumped in,
but they weren't there at the moment. It was just him and Jack. And so
I know, but the ladder only goes down so far, though, right?
Well, it was kind of a drop, but again, if you're trying to go down a ladder and I'm above you, dropping like rocks on you, I think it would be
just
bad.
Kicking.
So,
yeah, I think he knows that no matter what, Jack would stop at nothing to get him, including jumping down on top of his stupid bald head.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going to kill you, and Locke says, "How are you going to do that?" And Jack says, "I'm not going to tell you," because he had no idea how he was going to kill him. But he's like, "It's going to be a surprise."
He's going to jump at him like he's Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I'm Man in Black, I just say, at this point, I've killed enough people. I can just jump in the water. And my goal now is just to get off the island. And like I said, I can be killed now. So anyway, it's a rookie mistake, I think, on Man in Black.
He did the really, really badass Kate scene.
Or when she says, "I saved the bullet for you."
Yeah.
Do we all like that scene with Kate?
Yeah, I liked it.
Do.
I was thinking about how much people like it and how much it's kind of like a full circle for her too, because her whole story started with guns, and her whole story ends with guns, and it ends with not wearing masks. Anyway, that's all.
Well, that's a good point. But she originally was supposed to be like the leader of the group anyway from the first season, because the Jack character was supposed to die in the pilot episode. So I felt that Kate being the one to shoot the Man in Black was good, because we didn't see it coming. And in fact, the Man in Black got stabbed by Saeed. He got, pushed in the water by Sawyer, when we thought that actually might do something to him. And so he's dealing with Jack. And so Jack is like the third challenge. And this is the one he needs to defeat to overcome to escape. And then Kate kills him because he wasn't expecting her to be able to do so. And so I thought that was good. She came out of nowhere from that we all kind of, even though she was Super Kate, we counted her out. We weren't paying attention.
Exactly.
Kate coming in to do it.
Yeah, I was shocked when I think everyone cheered, if I can remember correctly, because and people said finally after 6 seasons, people are cheering for Kate. That's. But I seem to remember the story Terry O'Quinn told, that when they were fighting at one point, they didn't replace the knife.
Right.
And it was a real knife, and not the retractable one. Yeah, so he almost killed Matthew Fox.
Yeah. That's Jack Bender's fault. He wants realism.
Yeah. No, you don't want him on a green screen, right?
Huh? Yeah.
You don't want to agree. Can you imagine if that would have been, if he just actually would have killed Matthew Fox?
Wow.
That
That
show
would
would have been an amazing show.
I mean, how would they have got Jack to the part with Vincent? Did they already film that part already?
Vincent,
All right, now we got to bring Vincent to these rocks up here.
So there were, when I was watching it yesterday, a real unsettling moment for me was, I guess it's early in the episode when Kate and I forgot who else, they get to the Hydra Island, and then they're basically met by Claire.
Oh, it was Sawyer, wasn't it? Sawyer and
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Sorry. Because she comes out, right? She's looking all crazy. And the first thing I think about is Jay's terrible imitation. And then I watch the rest of that scene without laughing.
To get back to the show, that was really funny. That was really funny, Eckhart. What's funny is that the guys run into Claire and they're like, "Hey, come with us," and she's like, "No, I'm too crazy." And they're like, "You know what? We don't need to deal with a crazy lady." And they go just like walking off. But
That's the
Kate
moment.
actually
Yeah,
takes
that's the
time.
moment. Yeah.
But Kate does run into Claire and talks her to come join them because the dudes just did not know how to talk to a crazy woman.
I think
with Kate though too, that was the reason she came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the only reason she came back was to get Claire and reunite her with Aaron.
Yeah,
And-
Claire
but
was.
they-
Claire
They
was.
sync that up nicely in the Flash Sideways. In terms of her realization is when she's helping give birth to Aaron, right? For
Right.
Kate.
Yeah, that was synonymous going on, right?
Yeah.
Brian says Vincent was trained on a green screen. Just give him a fish biscuit.
Yeah.
There you go. I kind of agree with Claire at first because she's like going, I can't go back to my son like this. He won't know who I am. It's been 3 years. I'm not the same person. I mean, she's not the same person. I mean, I think we've talked about this before. Maybe Caleb has mentioned before. She was going to need some therapy. What she's become in the last 3 years compared to what she was before everybody left her.
But Aaron
Right.
doesn't know her from Adam, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but she's still got it. She's going to have issues, right?
Sure.
I mean, they probably all have issues.
Oh, yeah, all of them, yeah, for sure.
It's all traumatic for like the rest of their lives. I mean,
Right.
we all need
Thanks,
therapy.
Thanks, Jacob.
He's killing it every which way. Jacob, nice guy.
Do we like that Frank Lapidus was alive? Because we didn't know this for it was like 4 episodes since the subs exploded, that we didn't know if Lapidus was alive or not.
But it was a real not see a body situation though with him though, right? Like it was
Because
real,
it was Miles who was in the canoe. It was Miles and Richard.
Richard.
How did they not see the sub parts all over the place?
They were
I mean,
probably outside the circle of the island.
No, but they were literally were going right through the middle of all the, and that's when they noticed the body, and then they go, "Oh wait, they were just so focused on it?" Is that?
I
Am I
did
being
notice,
nitpicky here?
I
Yes.
Somebody else's body popped up. Wasn't it the sub captain or something? His body popped up first.
Yeah, but he didn't live.
Yeah, no, he was gone.
I think I noticed this time for some reason Lapidus really hates walkie-talkies.
He threw the walkie away. Yeah.
He's always given his last word and then throwing away, hoping no one will talk to him again so he can fly away right away. But every single time there's Miles with the walkie-talkie, and he's like, "Get out of here! We got 2 minutes." Throws it. Happened like 3 times. That's what happens when you watch the finale 3 times in a week. Because
Well, I think whatever Frank wants, Frank gets. I think because he's one of my favorite characters, right? So he can do whatever he wants. I don't care.
Chesty.
And you saved his life, so that's fine.
Yeah, I did. I forgot. Yeah, I did save his life.
Jack, I want you to know that every time Frank Lapidus came on screen, I stood up and clapped because I knew that he's the best representation of you on the show. No, actually, I distinctly remember actually when his character was introduced. Was it season 4?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I remember when listening to the podcast that you were 120% Lapidus. Like
I
from
love
the first
I love this
moment, yeah.
character.
He's got the best line on the entire series. We're not going to Guam, are we? It's
Yeah,
gold.
he always had those great one-liners, and he just. But here, I hate to go back to this part, but okay, Ben has a chance to go with him, right? How all the stuff that Ben's done, and then you had Saeed. I mean, that's why it gives me hope to be going to the next afterlife because, yeah, sure, I've said a few goddams, but Saeed, how many people Saeed killed? He gets to go. So I figure, okay, I got a good chance now. But how come Michael's how come he's a whisper on the island? That part will always bother me. Why can't he go? Okay, yeah, he killed 2 people. Right? 2. Did he kill
Well,
more than that?
I think Hurley grabs Walt to take care of that.
Bro, maybe
You think so?
New man in charge, right?
But Jack couldn't.
One of the things he does is start
maybe,
to.
Oops, sorry.
No, I'm done.
I was maybe
Colleen, you go.
I was going to suggest maybe Michael is still there because of Walt's destiny. Maybe they're still intrinsically tied together as a part of the
Yeah, I could see that, but to me, maybe it was just too awkward because if he had showed up and Libby was there.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
It's like, hey, and Michael goes, hey, guys going on that picnic?
Okay,
hey, we're good. We're good.
Get those
beyond casting issues, you could probably argue that from Michael's perspective, right? Maybe he really didn't like that part of his life very much.
Right.
Like, those aren't the group of people he would decide to move on with, right?
That could be that makes a good point. That's a good point.
But this is Jack's afterlife. Forget it.
They specifically said this is the place we all created together.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael wasn't invited.
Or Michael didn't want to join.
I like your theory that he didn't want to go because that's a great point. Because
you think about it, like Albert's not there either, right? And he was kind of part of the season 6 crew. Lapidus wasn't there, right?
No.
I mean, you had Daniel Faraday in the flashback, but I don't think he was in the church, right?
No, he wasn't in the church either.
No, but he didn't go, but he was in that. He was in that alternate universe,
right?
Though.
Well, but someone who looked like him was there. Like we know that the Flash Sideways. That, like, for example, Jack's son David does not really exist. He is something that was created for, to kind of like move that along. So, like, for example, I don't believe Kimi is in an afterlife. I believe there is a goon who looks like Kimi because he represents some kind of archetypal villain for them to interact with.
I agree.
So,
he's so cool, though. I mean,
yes.
He's one of my favorite characters in the entire show. He makes great eggs.
He's actually my choice for the perfect representation of Jack on the show.
See, when people ask me who is the big villain of Lost, I always say it's Kimi. Kimi is the big villain of Lost, and I won't argue anything else.
He did kill Alex.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In cold blood.
I don't see a problem with that.
Ethan, you monster.
Well, he might have also killed Carl, right?
Yeah, probably. Well, that's a good death. I mean, that to me is. I'll say it 1,000 times. That's the funniest death on the show. It's like this.
The water bottle.
Oh, you can't see my water bottle. It's green.
But going back to Ben, isn't that like the beginning of Ben's transition? Is when Alex dies? Like, starting there, you need to do everything, all that hard work to get Ben turned 180 degrees around to get to this outside the church. We're all like really upset that Ben decided he can't go in.
No, and the whole Dr. Linus episode was based on his, redemption to do the right thing this time by Alex.
And by the way, everybody who rags on season 6 Flash Sideways didn't watch that episode that Bill just referred to carefully, because that is one of the best vignettes and short stories of the entire series. And at that moment, that's when I realized, I didn't care what the Flash Sideways meant. To me, that was just an opportunity for all those actors to basically do something in a really focused manner. And, it's almost like their curtain call.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it works on that level, Eckhart, and I think you're right on that level.
I agree.
If for some reason, when I rewatched season 6 this last 2 weeks, all the Flash Sideways were much more interesting to me than what was happening on the island. So, but that's just me.
Was that because you are watching it knowing now what they meant, so you watched it in a different light?
Well, it's one of these debates that we had or discussions we had in the past on some of these episodes, but also when we talk about other shows, is the first time we watch something and it's a mystery show like this, we want to know the answer, right? We're so intent on overanalyzing everything. Every subsequent watch, we see different things, but we think about it in terms of like, we already know what the bigger story is. Now let's like look at the other layers. And to me, the Flash Sideways were much more interesting in that sense.
Right, because you can peel back and you can look for things, knowing like, knowing what the end game is. You can see more of the pieces
Exactly.
that-
You're not so thinking about, okay, what's going to happen in 3 minutes when we're back in the island, right?
Right.
You can just enjoy what's happening in the Flash Sideways.
Right.
For what it is.
Exactly. And in a way, with Ben opting, he was there, but he opted to not move on with them. It is kind of like the middle ground between somebody like Michael or Faraday not joining them and not even being in the church, and the group of people that were in the church. Or it's just, kind of interesting in a way, like those people were ready to move on, and like Ben clearly wasn't, and maybe those other people had their own,
Well, you had like Ana Lucia, who they said, I think Desmond says, because Hurley goes, she's not coming with us, and I think he says she's not ready.
Yeah.
To go yet. She wanted the cash, but she wasn't ready to go yet.
That purgatory cash, that spends good.
It is.
No inflation.
Yeah, right.
With Danielle, right? That Rousseau, he was gonna, they had Coco Van Tuesday nights coming up, and
I want to be clear about the season 6 stuff, and I'm just going to say it really quickly. It's every time there's an action set piece in the Sideways, that's when I start to twitch a little bit. Not like these nice actory moments or Richard Atherton comes back or shows up and it's really awesome. It's like when there's this big action thing that happens in the Sideways. That's when I get twitchy about season 6. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, there's some camp involved too, like where Hurley was trying to get Saeed to shoot, I guess, Charlie with a trank gun.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that was like kind of like, eh. But I guess it's the early season 6 vignettes where it's really like, just allowing the actors to ply their work.
But I do enjoy like the Jack and the lighthouse and the David stuff, like in season 6. I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, David is a clone of Jack, right? Would we agree with that?
A clone? I mean, he's.
I think he's just a little Jack. I mean, I think he's just.
Oh yeah.
He has this kind of personality. But Jack is like the opposite of his dad. He tries to be the good dad, and David just goes. David's a teenager, just screw you, basically, which is real. It's true to life. I mean, it's just what teenagers are. Get ready for it, Colleen. But it's just the way.
It'll be fine, Colleen.
15 times today before 9:00.
Hey, David had a Who poster on his wall, so he's all good with me.
Anyway, anything else that we want to talk about the finale? That your favorite scene, your worst scene?
I get a kick out of on the rewatches, and I guess maybe on the second or third rewatch, when in the opening scene of the end, and Jack's in his office and he holds up the X-ray of the skull and he puts his face right in the skull. It's like, dang, I'm dead. Get it? But nobody got it. But 2 hours later, you knew what the ending was.
Yeah.
But right at the beginning, he held up the skull to his face.
Yeah.
But even at the end, he didn't want to admit that because Locke goes, then he goes, "Did you see that?" He goes, "See what?" "Oh, I didn't see anything." He's still in denial.
Oh yeah,
about what he's seeing and not seeing.
Kate tried to get him at the end of the concert. He touched a little bit and he backed off.
Yeah, he goes, I don't want to admit this part. Maybe he was afraid to see his dad.
Yeah.
Maybe he
did
just
not
needed his dad.
Do what?
Maybe he just needed his dad.
That's a lot of it too. At the end, that father-son connection.
That was the
really
thing that was missing for the entire series of Jack. Was that thing that drove him was he didn't have that peace with his father.
He's a cowboy. He's a good cowboy, and all the best ones have daddy issues.
It really, honestly, we say that all the time. It's such a great title for an episode / phrase.
Well, and it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I mean, almost. What did anyone not have daddy issues on this show?
Oh, I thought you were talking about
maybe
here.
Vincent. Yeah. No, I don't hear. But I mean, what character did not have an issue with their dad?
I think Damon Lindelof had issues with his dad.
Jen was the only character who Jen had a good relationship with his father, but because his father was poor, there was a socioeconomic issue with his father. But
he couldn't invite him to the wedding.
Right, but otherwise, Jen had a good relationship with his father as opposed to everyone else.
That's
how was Ji Young's relationship with her father? Is that too soon?
Too soon.
That scene still makes me cry to even think that.
Like I said, it makes me cry, but it made me mad too. I mean, I get it.
The range of emotions I had watching that episode, because you think they're gonna blow up and then they're okay, and then Saeed takes it and you're like, ah, and then you're like, oh my god, that just happened, and then everything else, you're like, ah. Anyway,
and I know we've talked about this before, but
the candidate.
Terry O'Quinn's just is he the best actor on the show? Was he the best actor?
Michael Emerson.
Yeah,
because he literally he went from John Locke, who couldn't do it. I don't want to hit what he is, but then he goes Man in Black, and he had to change his whole. And at first, he didn't know what he was. Right? He didn't know he was a different character.
I think the answer to that is when he pushes that wheelchair away and he has that smile and he has that look in his face. And I think the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not taking away from the other actors, the whole ensemble is amazing. But it's just, if you had to pick one actor who was the best actor from the show, I'd have to go Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah, Emerson too is right up there. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
But Locke was, his last line was, I forgive you, Ben. And you're like, it hits you right in the chest.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? You really forgive him?
Right? As a great actor, you could tell it was sincere.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'd be like, no, I don't forgive you. Go away.
Hey, can I say something real quick? And I'll just be it for me. But hey, Jack, thanks for having me on to do the show. Since you had me on to do the show, you opened some kind of Pandora's box. I'm doing all these YouTube things on my own, and I'm coming back with you in a couple weeks. You've opened this Pandora's box. You've really helped me come out of my shell, which is great. But in general, just thanks for having me on this. It's been really great. I started out, I didn't even know who Jay and Jack were till the last season of Lost.
Wait, you didn't listen to us the whole time?
No, I didn't even find you.
I'm gonna have to block you right now.
I told you that.
I know. I'm just joking.
And I went back and listened. I came back because the leftovers had me come and listen. Need to reach out and connect with people again. And I've been a podcast, YouTube people talking about TV junkie ever since. And
well, you're. I don't. Like I said, you're great. You're great at it.
Well, I don't know about that.
I would not say it if it wasn't true.
But there's a whole community here, and your karma bank is full, and I just appreciate you and thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to have you on.
It was your pleasure.
Well, I had to have you on because those emails were you kept upstaging me with those emails, and it pissed me off. So anyway,
I'm really excited because I don't think I've ever been on anything with anybody on this call except for Jack, and that's just really exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Cool to see everybody for sure.
Well, this Lost Rewatch has been a lot of fun, and Eckhart, myself, Caleb, and Ethan are going to do a leftovers rewatch starting March 4th.
I don't know. In 2 weeks, Sunday, March 7th.
March 7th. I knew it was something like that. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be only one episode a week, right?
Yeah, the show is
Until we get to the gray pants, maybe the jogging
Gray
pants.
pants. We're doing. Gray pants.
Can I be a guest on the cleaning the gutters and the gray pants?
Sure.
We're doing a half episode every week when we get to that stuff. When we really have to dig down to my new
We're gonna do a frame by frame breakdown of that episode.
of Justin Thoreau's sweatpants. We're gonna do a half episode per.
You know, honestly, Kevin Garvey's Sweatpants is a great band name.
Yeah, they're a nice tight band too.
Oh man.
Oh god. All right.
Yeah, I'm dead.
But this has been a lot of fun, and like I said, for me too, I got to, I obviously had talked to people on, Twitter and Facebook, but to actually get to talk to people in real life, or kind of real life, I guess modern day real life, I guess. Of course, I started this before the pandemic, but this has been a great journey for me too. It's been a lot of fun.
It's the most adults Jack sees a week.
It is, because I've been just people going pop 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 pop, all day long. So,
Ooh, we're gonna start.
And the best thing is I don't have to change your guys' diapers. So that's another plus for me.
Oh, did Ethan not tell you?
Oh God. Okay.
Been waiting.
But anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, just want to echo Ethan's sentiments and just add that, it's an honor to discuss Lost with you. I listened to the podcast since season 3, and you guys were,
wait. Again, you didn't listen from season 1 either?
Oh, I started watching 3 seasons in.
And
okay. Didn't start the podcast until season 2.
Yeah. So, but
true.
The moment I started watching it, I looked for podcasts, and you guys were a bunch of them came up, but I gravitated to you guys because you guys were obviously the
premier,
the groundbreakers and the best in this, and it's just an honor to be speaking with you about this. Thank you.
You had a good name.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
Jay has always been real creative with names.
Yeah. But his
geek dad life.
But I got to give him credit, because it was his idea to make it a community and make it and the whole thing was actually Jay's idea. So you got to give him. He's not here, so he can't take So, and he won't watch this, so I don't have to. I can say whatever I want. But no, seriously,
I'll say this so that Colleen can hear it, because I've said this to Jack before. As much as I rag on Jay because it's so much fun, I have to give him so much credit for the jingles, because I used to sing those jingles around between episodes to the point that, and I was trying to get my wife to listen to the podcast, but she doesn't listen to any podcast. She's against that.
Yeah.
But she'll randomly mention the next on Lost jingle from time to time. Still to this day.
Don't you guys, didn't Jay put together an album of just the Lost songs that you can get on iTunes?
Yeah,
I have that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I have it too, and but I still sing sometimes, and it will come up frequently in my head. The 367. What is
8675309. In fact, it's if you want to listen to that, it's on the channel. You can find it on the Jane Jack, not Jane Jack.
Call the time.
TV.
309 money.
And it's
being so terrible at it is what makes it great.
But this is an important thing too. It's like, for me, I don't know if everyone else on this discussion feels this way, but I cannot separate the bi-weekly podcasts of Lost from actually watching the show. The experience were actually melded for me. So that whenever I actually watch the show, like I said, the most unsettling part was when Claire shows up, and I immediately remembered Jay doing that horrendous imitation, right?
My baby.
My baby. Yeah.
I can't get that high.
And that's the difference between binge watching a show nowadays to watching it week to week, where you get that midweek podcast and theorizing and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it's the shows that require 2 or 3 podcasts from people you like that really do it. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And to give a shout out to Ralph, who's coming up next. I used to listen to you guys on Thursdays whenever Lost settled in on. It was Wednesdays, right, or Tuesdays?
It
moved.
I think originally it was. We first started. It was Thursday night, wasn't it?
Because you used to do 2. You used to do the.
Yeah, we did 2 a week.
and then it would be I would wait for Dharmalars and then Saturday morning Lost Initiative, and those are like my three.
I just want one little behind the scenes. I know I've mentioned this before. Behind the scenes, when Jay we were recording, Jay always had to play the intro, whatever the song was. He played it, so we had to hear it. I go, "Isn't there a way you can just put that in, and we can just move on?" He goes, "Yeah." But so I always had to hear next on laws. I had to hear those over and over and over again because he, I guess, liked them. So
he still plays the stupid Survivor one.
I just go, can't we just fast forward to that? But anyway, it was
saying all these lost things, and I'm just in my mind. I'm going leftovers recap.
Lost recap. Anyway,
is you guys' GarageBand loop ending song, the do like.
Oh yeah.
It's a commercial, and every time I hear it, I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Because I get people all the time sending me something on Twitter. You know what I just heard? I go, yeah. I go, yeah. It's that wasn't Jay.
Hey, did you know the ring lady was in the picture? Okay.
Yes, I remember that, and the numbers add up to 108. Thousands and thousands. The ring lady though was the best because I don't know how many phone calls. It was on the desk of the priest, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how many emails we got and how many phone calls we got.
It was exciting, and it was something that made us all feel smart because you couldn't miss it.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I was like, I remember telling Jay, whose voice am I going to choose for that? From that hundreds of.
If there were too many voicemails, he wouldn't even look at the ones that were over 2 minutes.
Yeah, that is true.
And now he just maybe checks the email if there's some at the end of the show, no matter what. So he's come a long way.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, there's only get 4 or 5 weeks, so that's why we had to read your emails.
I had a couple, Red. I was happy to have a couple.
Anyway, I thank you guys for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun. If we ever talk about Lost again, I will definitely have you guys back.
Thank you.
But there will not be another rewatch. I don't care what Mike Bloom says there.
Maybe you'll guest on his show, and then you'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can sit there for 2.5 hours talking about it like they do. Anyway, that's all we got. Anyone that's online, you can stay online. We'll be back with the second group in 9 minutes, so you don't have to leave. There's going to be some dead air here, and then we'll move on from there. But again, hasta luego, and goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Great job, guys.
All right. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Sorry I was late.
That's okay. We heard
favorite mug and it shattered into a million pieces.
That's what we heard. We weren't supposed to say anything.
We were told not to bring it up.
So I refrained. A couple times I had to tell myself not to.
It's okay. You could have. Is Joanne watching? Because Joanne gave me that mug and it was this huge mug and it was awesome. And I'm so sad. I want to know where she got it so I can see if I can order another one.
Well, you shouldn't have thrown it at Jay.
Well, before that, Zach had me move something in his closet, and there were 2 crates stacked on top of each other, and one had toys, the other had books, and I tried to move it, and I smashed it on my big toe.
Ah.
I'm winning tonight. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like throbbing right now.
I just wanted to say goodbye, and I wanted y'all to see my dog Chi Chi.
Oh, and was Chi Chi watching you cry today? Is that what it was?
Yeah, she was watching me cry today. So
Cool.
My cat does all the crying. The cat drives me crazy.
Well, it was very nice. Jack, thank you for having me on. I appreciate this, and best of luck for the next one. So
Pat,
take care.
I got to do something with you.
I know, Colleen. I was so happy that you were going to be on.
I know. And Bill, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I didn't know you guys hadn't met. I'm sorry.
No,
I met everybody. I just have never done anything on Twitter. Like I'm sorry, not Twitter, on YouTube. I've never met them.
This is great.
Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
And hope to see you again.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye, chat peeps. Have a good week.
Thank you.
We'll be back in 7 minutes, chat peeps. there's more stairs than there used to be.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
How's it going? And we're actually live right now.
Okay.
Just want to warn you ahead of time.
Fair enough.
I don't know why I didn't people listening. I don't know why I didn't put up. Did two
two links?
Threads, 2 links. I was like, why didn't I do 2? Just before we started, I go, should have done 2 links. Oh well. I'll edit out the dead air.
Right.
So how's it going?
Good. I heard like everything as you walked in. I was like, did I miss it? Because I went to the comments and I saw everybody going, oh, good show, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shit, did I miss it? Okay, I guess not.
We're live right now, Karen. Well, Karen in the chat. Why is he not in the thing? I was telling Joel. I said I should have put 2 links, and I don't know what I was thinking, but it happens.
It does.
So we're waiting for Caleb, Eric, and Jeremiah. We just lost Joel. Joel said, heck with it, I'm out of here.
Already?
Yeah. He showed up. He did his part. So how's it going?
It's going.
Weather good down there?
The weather has been lovely. Perfect, actually. Yes. Like right now, it's 68 out and clear. It's beautiful. And the daytime, like this today, Chris and I went on a bike ride for, like an hour, and the weather was like 72 degrees. But it's only good weather for 2 days or so, and then after that, the humidity's back, and it's hell.
Yeah. It's been cold here, but we're just getting the rain. I can't. The rain is just depressing. I mean, people go. I wanted some snow. I mean, obviously, I feel bad for the people in Texas and throughout the United States that are just suffering. But it just at one point you just go. There's a rule. When it gets a certain temperature, it should be snowing instead of raining. That's my only beef. Well, at least because the first one started late because I didn't realize I had to upgrade my package I have. It said you could have up to 10 people, but you can only have 6 people in the chat.
Oh. So
I had to, I forgot about Ralph.
Can't forget about Ralph.
I forgot about Ralph. I forgot about him. So now we're just waiting on Jeremiah and Eric. Have everyone met so far? We've all met here?
Yes.
Okay.
Have I met Joel?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
What's going on, man?
Joel, Caleb, Joel.
How's it going? I think I've seen you on one of the other episodes, but we've not been on at the same time.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, there's Jeremiah.
Hey.
Does everyone know Jeremiah?
Mm-hmm.
Believe so.
Joel, Jeremiah.
Hey, what's up, Jeremiah?
What's up?
And we're live right now. Just
how exciting!
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure my post went up so that my folks know that this is going on. I didn't watch the finale. Just letting you know right now.
You never seen it? Well, spoiler alert, they were dead the whole time.
I have.
No.
Does this not go out to everybody? There we go.
Okay, maybe they were not. I don't know.
somebody tunes in and hears you say we're not live, and you're like, they're dead the whole time, and then we get on air and we're like, oh, they weren't dead the whole time at all. The people who think that are crazy.
We talked about that a little bit in the first half, the first part of this.
You did, and let me thank everyone in the first half for now having all those Jay and Jack jingles stuck in my head. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Gonna have that for the rest of the night.
Here's Eric. Eric, who don't you know?
Hi, everybody.
You know Joel seems not know anybody.
Jeremiah, hey guys, how you doing?
What's up?
I think I've been on with everybody except for Yeah, I've been on with everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe Jeremiah?
I've been on everybody.
Wow.
No, I think you're our constant. You're my constant for sure. Well, no, maybe Caleb. Caleb might be my constant. I don't know.
Jack, congratulations on getting everybody to this point.
Yes.
You did a great job. Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
You did it, man. You did it.
I couldn't have done it without everybody coming on here each week and helping me out.
Now, I just need to know when are you sending out the checks to us? That's what I was waiting for.
You should have already. You should have already got them.
Oh, okay. I'll check the mail again.
$8.15.
Perfect. I'll go get a latte.
That's more than I'm making now. So
there you go.
It's not a latte. Very little.
And before I forget, we mentioned this in the first part. Caleb, myself, Eckhart, and Ethan are going to be doing I almost said Lost Rewatch, a leftovers rewatch starting March 7th, Sunday. One episode a week. That's it. One episode a week until we. And it should go a lot faster than the Lost Rewatch did.
Congrats, guys. That's exciting.
I've never seen an episode.
I think they said one episode is going to be about the Grace sweatpants. So
yeah, the Grace sweatpants.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it.
It's Lindelof, right?
Yeah, it's Lindelof.
Yeah.
The first season can I've said this and people will argue with me. You can skip the first season and then come back, watch season 2 and 3, then come back and watch it because I like season 1, but a lot of people don't like it because it's kind of a downer.
But it's another show. It's another show though of such depth and such
it's a bit of a chore to get through that first season sometimes though. Like it was heavy. It was real heavy. 2 was great.
But it's heavy. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's
tough to get sucked into that world though, with it being so heavy. It's like I was trying to just like escape and relax.
My whole life is turned upside down.
Right. I've watched all of it. Don't get me wrong. It was great. But that first season was brutal.
Because I know a lot of people stopped.
I started watching the first episode and a dog got shot in the face. And I was like, I think I'll hold off.
Spoiler.
I think I'll need to be in a better mood.
I think that was probably the cheeriest part of the
season. Me and Stevie tried to watch Yellowstone. And the opening scene of Yellowstone is a horse getting shot in the face, and I'm like,
oh my god!
I'm trying to enjoy.
To be fair, that it was humane reason.
Of course,
the horse was going to die.
What?
Right.
When
we, if you sit down to watch a TV show, that's not the first thing you want.
My wife and I watched Yellowstone in 4 days, all 3 seasons.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we just did it like a week ago.
Don't you miss shows where they used to open just with like a pilot getting killed? Now they have to kill animals, shooting him in the face.
Crazy.
Pilot getting sucked out of a cockpit. Don't you miss those shows?
I miss those shows.
That was the good old days, back then. Good old days.
Well, hey, and at least in Lost, the dog made it all the way to the end.
That's right.
Or he was dead the whole time. I don't know.
Without getting shot in the face. So anyway, we're here to talk about Lost. You guys can start with Karen. What were your thoughts on the finale of Lost?
I thought it was a beautifully executed finale. It was beautiful. It was heartfelt. It did bring everything full circle for us, literally and spiritually, and It was very beautiful, and it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, I cry every time. It's just so beautiful, and to have it all, wrap up with, Vincent. When I see a dog, they are like the epitome of unconditional love. So to know that Vincent was going to come and join Jack at the end, so he wasn't alone, so that, it's just so beautiful. And to see that the Sideways and the On Island does indeed converge for us all the way to the very last moment. So I thought it was done very well, and it's a beautiful ending. And no, they were not damn dead the whole time.
Well, you mentioned Vincent, I remember tearing up with that. And I don't think I would have teared up if it was just Jack.
Right.
I mean, nothing against Jack. I think Vincent coming in there was like.
Right. But here's the thing: is nobody through Lost, we learn we get these little pearls of wisdom, and we get these little bits of insight, and we're supposed to kind of gather these little nuggets so we can learn from them. And we do learn through the story of Lost that, nobody goes through their journey alone. Nobody. And if we don't do things together and help each other grow and evolve and awaken or whatever we're going to end up alone. So even in the very, very end, it was proven that Jack wasn't alone. Even Vincent the dog made sure that he was together with,
He didn't die alone.
Yeah. He didn't die alone. So we don't do anything in our lives. You hope you have some good people to see you through and help you grow through things. And he didn't die alone, and it was beautiful.
Nice.
Just by a show of hands, who cries during this episode? Who cried? Can we all just admit to crying at some point
every time
during this
I wrote
episode?
down every time I cried.
The whole time.
9 different times. I was
I got you beat. I got 11, man. But let me tell you.
11 times.
I don't think I threw in the end there, so maybe 10, but yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. But
I did cry when Man in Black.
And that's just going into it cold. Like, why should I be sobbing going into this episode cold? I didn't watch the whole rest of it leading up to it.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But those characters stick with you after, so many years.
Well, we care. I mean, that's what's the brilliance of this show is we care so much about each and every one of these characters that when we get to this climax and we see the result and what the final arc is and where they end up going and how it ended, I think unless you have no heart, you're definitely tearing up. And it's funny because every time I rewatch it, I always think it's also interesting on parts that I maybe don't even remember getting emotional the first time and get emotional like this last time I'm watching it this weekend. I was sobbing about even the scene with the second birth of Aaron during this flash sideways and seeing the crossover, and I'm getting emotional. I'm looking, so I've seen this quite a few times now, but yet I'm still getting emotional about it all these years later, rewatching this thing I don't know how many times, and I'm still getting emotional about these scenes.
It's a thing of beauty. It's literally a thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm. You think we get emotional because there's rewatching. You guys have all been joining me throughout the rewatch, but I was almost like going, okay, I'm happy I'm getting to the end of the rewatch. It's been fun, but then I was starting to. I go, God, I'm going to miss having to get to watch these episodes. And then you start, because I remember the first time around, it was almost like I was going into that final episode. I was like going the finale. I was like, oh my God, I hope I like it. We're going to lose these characters. We're never going to see them again. I mean, like I think you said, Ralph, we got so invested in the characters that it was like they were like real people to us. I mean, there are real people, but you know what I mean? And so when I was watching it today, or yesterday, I was like, Caleb, I'm not much of a shipper, but when I said that, I think the part I teared up the most was Juliet and Sawyer. I mean, I was just like, I forgot how well, I mean, they are the perfect couple together.
Well, we know Caleb is on board with that.
Yes, I totally agree.
I have a quick question.
Who is it that you like? I don't remember.
Caleb likes couples who go Dutch, who are willing to the concept of going Dutch. He's really into it. It's fair. It's equitable. It's it's a recipe for success in relationships.
Yes.
Juliet is awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question. By show of hands, how many folks here were at Jay and Jack's finale event in LA.
I know.
Just
I know. I
just
was
the
not.
three of us.
I wanted to be though, really bad. I could say
Where was
that.
Karen? Karen, you weren't there?
I was not there.
Oh.
I was not there. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no control over the tickets. Just want to put that. I had no.
I forget how we got the tickets, honestly. How I got tickets.
I wasn't invited, just saying.
I had no control over who was coming. Who was going.
I happened to be in
I'm kidding.
The tickets. I think they just put them on because they didn't sell them. They were free, right?
I think maybe
I got invited.
I think the tickets are.
Oh, I actually got a ticket, but I don't know that it cost anything, and I don't know.
I don't think the tickets cost anything. I think it was just like a random thing. The first people got, and they were gone like in 5 minutes. I think.
You got it out of
and it wasn't a small venue either.
No.
Yeah.
It was a proper theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ralph, you and I were both at the concert for the penultimate episode, right?
Right.
We were there, and then you went to the party too after with me. Were you there?
I was at the party after. Yeah.
Yes. Because I remember. I'm like I think I remembered seeing you there, and it must have been because Jorge and I took a picture, and you were in that group. Like you. So I'm like, yeah. So
I wasn't invited. I wasn't invited to that.
That was fun.
Jorge was only allowed to bring +3, so he brought his girlfriend. Oh, maybe more than that, but I was definitely. I did get a hat. I did get a hat at Lost. He knew because I was into film music that it would be up my alley, and that event was awesome because it was 2 days after the airing of Across the Sea.
Right.
So I didn't have to wait a full week to be bummed about Across the Sea. So they showed us the Friday before. So it was like a good 5 or 6 days before the episode aired. And they essentially just told everybody, don't tell people what you saw. And then it was awesome.
But you sent me a text message telling me everything.
Yeah. My theories. I sent theories into the show.
Anyway, like Colleen said, it was at the Orpheum. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, the best thing about it being there, because my biggest concern was that somebody was because we were watching the West Coast feed. I wanted the East Coast feed, but we couldn't get it. I said, someone's going to yell, "Oh my God, this is what," and nobody said anything. So
it was a well-behaved group.
It was, yeah. So
and that event,
lost people.
That event, the greatest thing about that event was, I don't know how many people fit in there. Maybe 3,000. Maybe not that much. It was a huge.
I thought it was like 2,000. Colleen would probably know more than I would.
But the whole theme of the finale is about togetherness. And so having that sort of experience while watching that finale was huge. And I don't think I know there's sort of a shorthand when it comes to making fun of Lost, and it's always the finale. Everyone always says it's the finale Lost. You still hear it like on Seth Meyers and Saturday Night Live. They'll mention the Lost finale as being, I don't know, a disappointment or something, but I feel like
I don't get it.
It's just people who didn't get it that feel that way.
Who didn't watch it.
Yeah.
It's people who didn't watch it. I mean, I was just talking to Jay about this on our show. Like, there's a lot of shorthand for things that people like to pick on or point at just to say something is bad. Right. So, like, let's say if someone wants to rip on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, they'll just blame it all on Jar Jar and just say Jar Jar and use that as shorthand. And the same thing happens with Lost. I feel like people like to rip on the finale, but it's people that didn't watch the show. It's people that tuned in for the finale and then didn't understand.
You had to take the whole journey. You couldn't just jump in.
Or you weren't invested in the characters because it was a character. It was about the character show. I mean, it was a character development show. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, It was mentioned in the first part of this conversation about the sloppiness of some of the major reporters reporting on like that they were all dead because which obviously they did not pay attention to any of the dialogue that was being said in this episode. It was it's careless, and that also did fuel a lot of the confusion and upset people, like just fueling their fire to this thing that was not there, and it's very frustrating. But
didn't they have a thing where they show a plane? It was a network. It wasn't wasn't Lost, but they showed
after the credits,
right? Yeah. And people went, "Oh, they were dead the whole time."
Right?
No.
Yeah, that did not help the situation at all.
They should have known that after all those years, fans were going to pick apart every little detail, and for them to throw that up there, it's no wonder people thought that.
Yeah,
right.
But it wasn't it wasn't production team.
Oh,
it was ABC. It was ABC.
Yeah. That was ABC's decision. The way I always read that was their decision to do that.
One of the things that I've learned being a Star Wars fan my whole life is that, especially when it came to, let's say, The Last Jedi and beyond, there's fans who like to draw a line in the sand and say you're either with me or you're against me. There's people who hate this stuff, and there's people who love this stuff, and they can't come together and have a discussion. The thing I like about Lost is when it comes to Lost fans, people who've watched the show since the beginning, there are no lines drawn in the sand. It's all a discussion. You may have a different theory than Karen, Jack, but you can talk about it and see what has been presented. Yeah, you can see what's been presented and discuss it, but you never sort of step on each other's toes. You don't point fingers. You don't name call. And that's what I like about Lost. And even though maybe every question wasn't answered, but there's enough in there to add fuel to the discussion. So there's, you can look at Lost from every angle. And I've said this on every single episode of Jack's Lost Rewatch is that I love that there isn't answers. I love that the community, after 16 years of talking about the show, we could still find new theories. We could talk about new things. We can notice new things. And every time I do a rewatch,
I kind of feel like too, it's the reason we're able to have this multifaceted discussion about so many layers of the characters, the story, the subtext, all of these things is because each one of us, the viewers, we took our own individual journey through this 6 seasons. My journey was definitely not the same as yours or Caleb's or Jack's. We were all in our own world in life then. So my perspective of what I experienced was probably a direct correlation of what was going on in my life at that point and where I was as an evolved person or not evolved, or, so it's totally individual. Mm-hmm.
That goes with what Jeremiah was saying. Like there was stuff in this that he was more emotional about than the last time he watched it. That's because he's growing as a person, and so he has a different experience this time. He's in a different headspace this time than he was back then. And I think that's what's great is when I started watching the show, I was in my early 30s. Now I'm in my mid 40s, and I identify with different characters. I love that you have people like Walt's age all the way up to Christian Shepherd and Locke and stuff. There's, every character is they're all different ages, and you can identify with, the different ones. Whether if you're a mother, you probably identify with some of the stuff that happens with Claire or with Son. It's nice that this cast is so like diverse and different, and every character is so unique that you can kind of latch onto them, but at different times of your life you'll latch onto a different character.
I really got the feeling that the actors were into it the whole way through too. That I think a lot of the actors really cared to bring the characters to the conclusion. Some people are just doing jobs usually, and like there's certain lines and things that they put some of these characters through in the various subplots, even in season 6, where I'm like, they mustn't have loved doing that. But I think everyone showed up for the finale. And I think it was fitting it. I think the finale, when viewed in order, when viewed with context and understood to be when you're understanding what they're saying. I think the finale elevates every episode before it. I think it partly because of the very high brightness on the packages, the flashback packages. It's like, wow, this is, and that's most of the times I cried was just the flash clip show, and I was like, oh.
Me too. But
I mean, and they remember, but yeah, I think that the finale can't be touched as far as I'm concerned. It manages to do the emotional closure while still doing some batshit crazy, like Sawyer jumps off the cliff, Kate jumps off, like they do things that they actually went for broke in blowing up the island. Like it really feels like at a certain point in the episode that the island might actually blow up, not just sink, but explode. They just went for broke completely, like the action and the emotion. It's just so, I think it's wrapped up with such a good bow. They use such good wrapping that we don't know how special like the whole box is, but it's just amazing.
Right. Yeah,
I know, and when you
so
say that, I feel like, you know, when you get that person that is, you know, oh, not just they were dead the whole time, or it's like, oh God, I gave up after season 2, or I tried to jump in a couple of times and it didn't take, and that's okay, because maybe the show was not for everyone. That's totally cool too. But you know what? It may be for you 5 years from now. You may, because again, your perspective in life is in a different place. You're in a different place, and you may find that this is the journey you need to go on then. So I never feel any, like you said, Ralph, there are no really right or wrong perspectives to this. It's each of our own individual perspectives, and we can agree to disagree. We can agree to say, I didn't think of that way before, you know, so it's just about sharing the experience together. And then you just hope that when, you know, some new recruits come along, they enjoy the ride, and then they're like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And again, if somebody wants to revisit the story later on, that they may find something new, or they're a newbie later on and giving it a second shot and it works. But if it's not for everybody, it's not for everybody.
Well, you guys are saying how, you know, you can agree to disagree. It's like the first group, we were disagreeing about John Locke, but it wasn't getting ugly. It wasn't getting, you know, people weren't going, I'm just going to mute you. You know, it was just, you know, just a disagreement on this certain character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
that's what's beautiful about this. Like you guys were saying, we all can have very different opinions about each one of these characters, but it's not that one of us is wrong or one of us is right. I mean, it's just our feelings and how we connected with each one of these characters and how much they mean to us. So, but we all know, come on, John Locke
about Lost, and
John Locke's the most tragic character.
Like I like hearing everybody else's opinions on Lost. It's fun to still be talking about it. So, like, there's nothing anybody could say that could make me mad about it. Like, either you don't know what's going on and you say things like they were dead the whole time, or you've got some opinion I hadn't thought of before and I want to hear it. You know, like let's talk through it.
Right. It's a new angle, or it's a new perspective, and it's just something else to throw into the stew.
But that's what I've probably said this 100 times on this rewatch. That's the beauty of what the writers did. They let us make the decisions of who we liked. They didn't, you know, it wasn't like you're going to like this guy, you're going to hate this person, you're going to hate this girl, whatever it was. We decided, you know, like I said,
and I think the writers also made this story such a place that they said, you know what, you're always going to have to watch that again. You're always going to have to watch it again. So I think that's brilliant.
And you still see things I never noticed that before.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best part about this. Every time you do your rewatch with the show, you catch little things and you're like, wow, I don't know if I remember catching that the first time. It's great. It's great. There's so much involved in this.
But I do still need to be able to wipe your brain and watch Lost again fresh for the first time.
Oh my God. Wouldn't it be awesome?
It'd be so good.
That would be so
What if you hated it? We hated it.
Because you had it different twice in your life.
I think upon rewatch, I think what's like the most emotional for me, other than, you know, obviously the you know, we remember each other, I think it's the subtleties. What really gets me is, you know, the scene where you know, Kate is saying to Jack, you know, I missed you so much, because we know that she went on and lived, you know, her life without him. And to me, that has a really hard punch on rewatch. And also, I think it's important because I'm not sure if the first group mentioned this. I was kind of in and out most of the time. But to me, one of the saddest, beautiful parts of the finale is the conversation between Eloise and Desmond. And when she says, "Are you taking my son, with you?" And he says, "Not with me, no." And that makes me want to choke up every time because her, you can't fault her for what happened because she had no clue. She was trying to protect, everybody and all that. And so the fact that she had to just push her son to the island for her whole life, knowing good and well what was going to happen, this was now her chance to have time and spend with him, and she
until
did not
he's ready
want to lose
move
it.
on, until he's ready to have his awakening.
But you mentioned that when, I think, Caleb, you mentioned it, when Kate says, "I missed you so much," you forget that Jack dies on the island, and Kate gets off the island and goes on to live. Who knows? Did she get married? What happened? We don't know. But it's like, "I missed you so much," and we don't know.
What I like about that is when she says that line, it's still being revealed, right? That he's been like mortally wounded and that he's not going to quite make it, and that she's going to go off. And that's something the whole episode does, right up to the point where Hurley is asking Ben to be his second.
Right.
And then in the afterlife, like the very next scene is Hurley and Ben coming to an agreement that they were pretty good. Well, Hurley says to Ben, "You were pretty good too." It's like great line. But it's so so it's slowly the curtain's being pulled back in real time, and you just get to watch it unfurl, and it's brilliant.
Kind of amazing to watch it now and not all of those clues were leading to what it was going to be. And like, it's hard to figure out how we didn't see it coming. I mean, I didn't, at least. I didn't see it coming until Christian Shepherd laid it out. And even then, the very first time, I remember being confused for like 5 minutes, and then everything kind of settling in, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you said that.
Now, so many things were just like, we're going to leave. It's like they were just hammering it home, and it's like, how did we not see that?
Right.
I don't know.
I'm so glad you said it. I didn't see it at all either until that, because there's things to like, even if you don't know what's going on, there's things to like about Desmond just being extremely charismatic and going and rounding everyone up throughout the whole season. It's like, that's fun, even if you don't know what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think about Juliet's metaphor for the island and the vending machine? Where she says,
that makes perfect sense. You have to plug it, unplug
basic
it, plug it back in.
101, just turn it off and back on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So now everybody gets to reap the Apollo bars because Jack turned the island back on. So candy for everyone. Oh my God. And then wait, don't they get the candy bars in the new man in charge? The little shorts, aren't they going for the sweets?
He gives them one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's fun.
That little short thing was like crack after not seeing Lost for a while, and then like when they were
that was
like, "What are you doing now? I want more." Like I had made my peace with this.
Yeah.
Do you think, because in the first group we were talking about reboots and stuff like that, and it's got me thinking, okay, what did happen to the people that got off the island? Did Sawyer go and spend time with his daughter was Clementine?
Clementine.
Yeah, I mean, did Kate get married? What happened to their lives after they got off the island?
What does the media say when this plane lands?
That's the biggest thing.
And you got like how do they explain Richard? So he's like, I'm like, every time I think about that, I'm like, imagine it landing in LA and they're like, what is this? Where did you guys come from?
I mean, they probably could have landed it anywhere.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true. I just assumed they went back to LA, but you're right. They could have gone anywhere. Well, they had to go back to LA. That's where Aaron's at.
They had
initially they could have gone into hiding. Luckily for Kate,
that would have been a good idea.
She was already part of the Oceanic 6, so she were able to. If they landed somewhere in the South Pacific and then she took a plane to LA, that would be fine for her. They'd have to explain Sawyer.
But wouldn't she get arrested because she wasn't supposed to leave?
She was
California.
not supposed to leave. Yeah, she was breaking her probation.
Yeah,
I remember these would all be more interesting stories than some of her flashbacks, I'm sure.
I was always thinking, where does Alfred end up after all this? I always pictured him being like fish out of water in America, but it's like, wait, he'd just go back to the Canary Islands or whatever. he'd want to go see his home and how much it changed. You know, like of course that's where he'd end up.
Richard was going back and forth because he's the one that was recruiting John Locke as a child and everything. So Richard was going back and forth. And Juliet, and he went and spied on the sister and everything. So yeah,
he had a travel pass.
He's got a way. Okay. He's got fake passports and stuff. I'm sure he's able to get.
I think Ben and Richard both have numerous off-island contacts, and now that Ben is, helping Hurley out, I think it could have been no problem to get them back to America or wherever they wanted to go without anybody knowing about it. I think that's no problem.
There's a line where Hurley goes, "We're not allowed to leave the island." He goes, and Ben goes, "That was Jacob's rules."
Yeah. Jacob's
Yeah.
And I don't think Hurley would stay alive as long as Jacob did. I think he would not have that rule.
No.
Well, the cool thing is that I think Christian has that line to Jack where some of them died before you and some long after you. And so I'm picturing like an 1,000-year-old Hugo, which is awesome. He's just just the most zen dude ever. He ran that island like it was the Umbrella Academy, but like all the special children were like in training and they figured out what it all meant and they solved some world problems. But
Ben get everlasting life in that scenario, or does Ben just get old and die and he's got to replace him as a number 2?
Well, I like how vague it is, right? I like how vague that when they share that pleasantry at the end, like you were a good number 2, you were a great number 1. There's no real indication as far as who outlived who or what happened then after. It's kind of like you're saying, like we as listeners can figure it out.
We do know that sometime, I don't know how much time has passed, but Walt is still pretty relatively young in the epilogue when he's approached by Hurley and Ben. So I don't know.
What do you think his gig was on the island? They said we got a job for you. Any guesses on what Walt's would be?
Didn't he become a rapper?
Well, here's the thing.
To help Michael, who was a whisperer.
He did have an ability to
summon birds into windows?
He helps the bird migration. Yeah, the bird migration. So the par avion, the mail, the birds aren't sending the mail correctly, so he's gonna fix it.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah, not the Hurley bird.
Yeah, Hurley bird.
He's gonna track down the Hurley bird
just to get the Hurley bird. Just so Hurley.
He's like, I have a job for you. Get rid of this bird that's saying my name.
There was this bird that was saying my name.
He just gets the bird and he's like, what?
That's the job.
Well, that's why you could have not a reboot, but you could have a continuation because there's so many things that I think you could just once a year once a season you have like Dharma, you have the Dharma Initiative, and then you have what happened with Mother. I mean, there's so many things you could do that wouldn't ruin the original.
I'm in it for the prequel about the how the Dharma Initiative started. That's what I'm in it for.
Oh, that's real cool.
I will say I'd be interested in Gian and Aaron and Clementine.
Yeah, what is the next
coming
generation?
to the
Julian.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. I just remember I was very grateful that the show ended where it did as far as the characters in the plane heading out, because even Ajira 316 going missing would have been the biggest news story that entire year. The fact that 100%. The Oceanic 6 disappear on another plane, like it would have been.
The media would have had a field day with that.
They would not have stopped publishing. That's front page news ever since Ajira disappears, let alone when some of them may turn up again. And there's no way the island isn't severely vulnerable to being discovered at that point, because it's the only explanation. You're going to have 100,000 scientists all looking straight at where Ajira's flight path was. Or you're going to have to come up
because 815 Widmore staged the crash, right? So that was explained.
But I think it would be interesting to see a government cover-up about Ajira 316, and then have the next generation have your Gions and Clementines and Aarons.
Oh, they're like grown up and they're infiltrating those government entities and they're trying to protect the island.
Something's not right here. It's a government conspiracy. They're getting together to try to figure it out. And
what happens when Ji Young finds out that her dad didn't want to They'd rather die than come see her.
Well, all the best cowgirls have daddy
Oh my
issues.
gosh! If somebody
Would
mentions
be-
that
it
one
would
more
be a
time,
great storyline.
I was on that episode with you, and I explained why he stayed there and why he should have stayed there.
we both
again.
were.
I agree to disagree.
Yeah, no,
That's great. That's great motivation for that character if they were to do a next generation.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Why
I
did
will.
both of my parents abandon me?
Yeah,
She would have the money too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm on the
And
record
there's like
for
some
saying,
old pictures of him from the 70s left in those houses. So
that's right.
if she could find some old pictures of her dad.
And then where is Squirrel Baby now?
It's a good question.
Claire
Not in
didn't
good
take
shape.
Baby
Squirrel Baby can't be in good shape at this point. No.
Well, it wasn't in good shape at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's got to be worse. But I'm always been on the record. I definitely do not want to reboot a sequel or prequel.
Continue the story.
100%. That's what I prefer.
Is Disney smart enough to do that though? I mean, because networks always screw things up. But you think they'd be listening to the fans, because I've never heard a diehard fan say, "I want a reboot."
Yeah, for sure. What do you guys think? Since Disney owns this, what do you think? How do you think they feel about this franchise? Do you think they want to do anything with it?
I don't think they recognize how awesome it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much potential that it has. Like, I think it's just like, oh, that was a hit, moving on. Whereas like you could mine this for as much as Star Wars. Like there's as much mythology here as there is in any of those movies, you know.
I find it interesting that ABC Disney still sells all their merchandise plus new merchandise for Lost on abc.com. And it's very hard to get, Lost Blu-ray and complete sets. It's like they make it very hard to access all of this stuff except for the merch. So they know they can make money on it. They know it's a money-making thing.
Just put a hatch at Disney World. That's all I'm asking.
I want a whole little island. Come on, just take over Discovery Island and make it Lost Island.
But Lost is moving from Hulu to Disney Plus, right?
No, that was for the UK.
Yeah. Not to say it couldn't happen down the road, but right now, because here in the US,
we have Hulu.
Yeah,
it might be like another 5-year contract thing.
Okay,
but Hulu's part of Disney.
What if it's really popular? What if in the UK, people just go, the downloads for people? I mean, they can track they know what shows are being watched and what shows aren't being watched.
We could hope, you know what I mean, that they decide, oh, this might be able to make us some money, and then just exploit it. I'm fine with that. Exploit the shit out of it. It's fine. We'll watch every bit of it.
But I think we all agree that we're all for some format of this wonderful adventure to come back. But we're all, I would assume, in agreement that it has to be done absolutely perfectly right, or else it's going to backfire and ruin everything. And then we'll all be heartbroken.
I think maybe they don't want to touch it.
Yeah,
I don't think anything can ruin it.
Kind of like Star Wars and all that happened. I feel like that because they didn't plan it out, and the typical criticisms for the new trilogy and all that. But I think that if they brought in the right writers, the right fans, people who knew the show, that's what they would need to start with first. They can't just be oh, you're a director, let's have a season. It's like, no.
The Mandalorian is being handled very well as far as storytelling goes. And I think it's giving us a lovely layer in a positive manner to our Star Wars universe. So if it was in the right hands with the right writers, the right producers, the right cast, obviously all the planets have to align.
They gotta
but if
focus
it's done
on character
right,
too.
Yes,
like they did before.
Just like Lost.
They can't do every show just after Lost that failed did, which was high concept with characters that weren't really focused on. That's why Flash Forward failed. That was an interesting show. They just didn't really focus on the people. It was more on other stuff. And
Flash Forward waited too long to get the characters.
Right.
But by the time you got into the characters, the show was already on its way out because they, like I said, I think there was that the writer's strike year, Flash Forward?
No, that was season 4 Lost.
Because I remember the first because the concept was really interesting, but I didn't care about any of the characters. And I think they took a break or something. They came back and they finally started getting us to care about the characters, but by then nobody had cared about the show anymore. So I agree with you. They have to make it character driven.
Is there the only way you can do Lost right is if it's a limited series. If you do a 10-episode arc like The Mandalorian, where you can focus on one specific story, have a really good ending for this one story,
like a chapter, like this chapter of something.
Lock it down, make it interesting, but then be able to build off that maybe a year later for the next season.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like it needs to
the Dharma Initiative, and then you could go to, because I think that's where they should start, because I think that's the part where everyone goes, I wanted to know more about the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, discovering the island. The more, I don't know, just any of that stuff is endlessly fascinating.
Whatever
Jack only wants it to be the Dharma Initiative. The Rose and Bernard. That's the only reason.
If I have any input, if they ask, hey, Jack, I will definitely say, hey, you got to have Rose and Bernard here.
I'm excited for the Scientists of Dharma TV series where they explain, like, what's the deal with the arrow?
Does each episode start with one of those corny instructional videos that are like phases in and out, and you can already understand what they're saying? I would watch one
about the history of each station for sure.
Yeah,
and they show everybody who's been there and like the different phases of it, like showing Radzinski to Kelvin to Desmond kind of thing. Yeah. Like that'd be cool.
Guys, here's what I need though. Whatever it is, it's got to be massively successful. So Disney World will open up an island park that I can go to and ride a Smokey ride. Okay, that's what I need.
A Smokey ride. That's what you.
I want to visit a real ride.
Where he tosses me around.
Discovery Island at Disney World is still abandoned, and we could take it over and build it ourselves. Hello,
I'm telling you, that's what we need. We need a Lost theme park.
And can they just make the alarm clock that goes, it flips like the thing? And
yeah.
Why is that too much to ask?
It's not. It's not. Joel,
it's totally doable, but we're how many years out are we, and we still don't have it?
They're sleeping on it. Disney is sleeping on this.
Was it rumors that was it just fan rumors, or was it actual rumors that they were going to do something about Lost?
No, that was an April Fool joke.
Was it
the clock, the alarm clock?
Well, are there any corners of Oahu that they could film? Left film that they haven't already filmed on? My impression was they got the last sort of blade of grass on that island. It pretty much is one of the last shots of the show.
You could do a bunch of stuff off island.
Yeah.
Was that revisit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it'd be kind of cool to see it from the point of view of somebody trying to find it. Like a conspiracy, like, oh, they heard of this thing on the internet or whatever, and they're trying to figure out how to get to it.
Or go back to where the kids, the Jiyoung and
I
love the kid idea. I used to always think that was a great idea.
The kid's a cool idea. That's a cool idea.
It's a really
is Hurley leading the kids?
Yeah, of course. He's Professor Reyes.
He'd be wanting them to come there. And do you think he's inviting people still? Like what would be his logic for inviting people there? Not for somebody to take it over necessarily, but
the island still does heal you. It still heals what ails you. So he would still maybe bring in some people who need the island's healing power.
Are people going to go there and die?
Yeah. No, well, they may die as long as it leads to rebirth. Wink, wink.
I mean, he could try to drown them and they'd live forever, like Jacob did.
I think that
we don't talk about Jacob. We don't talk about him.
Hurley
We've already established Jacob's a terrible person. We've already established that.
I'm sorry. I know you like Star Wars. He's the Jedi of the Lost. It's just dull and boring, and I'm sorry. I know
the religious sect that
they look like they're wearing
you
potato
to
sacks.
Yeah, that's Jacob.
Yeah.
He desperately needed to get laid.
Is you have Hurley on the island, and we know that Ben is his number 2. So Ben would be the one going out and recruiting the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
But to
wait,
what
wait,
end?
Wait, Ben.
Why would he want?
Although that's kind of creepy, Ben recruiting the kids.
Yeah.
though.
Just to like fill the island.
We know Ben's history. He's just going to steal the kids.
Oh,
he's a baby.
Right?
He's a,
Yeah,
he's a
bag over
baby
there.
napper.
Yeah.
He's a baby napper.
You can be my son. You can be my daughter.
Well, realistically,
like that would just be to repopulate the island, like to like replace the people that were the others and stuff. Like somebody needs to run the day-to-day kind of thing. Is that why he'd be bringing kids and stuff to the island?
I don't know if it would necessarily be kids, but I think he could bring in the Jian and all them.
Yeah.
Bring them in, saying that Hurley is here to help answer their questions.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out Ben is using them to overthrow Hurley.
It wouldn't add up with the.
Write that down.
I've had it up to here with Ben as a bad guy. I'm okay with his redemption arc now.
Yeah, like it wouldn't add up with the Flash sideways.
It had to be. I like the idea, but it had to be someone else was brought there with that you think would had good intentions and turns out to be evil.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? We need conflict for storytelling, but I because of this island, because of how I feel about it, I just want a whole season where there aren't any others stealing Walt off the boat, where there aren't any crazy death, like near-death experiences. I just want to exist on the island, be more like John Locke eating the orange.
How about a whole chapter just on Geronimo Jackson?
Yeah.
Sure.
Here's the thing about the Flash sideways and Ben and Hurley's relationship is Hurley is ready to move on, and Ben says he has stuff to do. So is he now taking over the island?
I don't know.
That's Danielle related stuff.
Yeah, I think
that's
Russo related stuff.
On to the afterlife.
Does he go back to his evil ways? I mean, he's been evil his whole life. I mean, how does he become?
So at this point, is Walt on the island doing the job?
Wait, are you saying that when right before Hurley goes back into the church, that then Ben could go back to the island? Ben's dead at that point.
That's the way I always read that. Is that
I read it too.
Everybody that we see there, whether they're in the church or outside the church, are dead.
Right.
That's the way I.
Yeah, they just want to. He's just hanging out with Russo and Alex and getting his redemption and living out that fantasy. I would have.
I think he wants more time with Alex the way that Charlotte and Daniel and Eloise. Yeah.
So they didn't have a little connection there. Like they had a connection, but they didn't have like a flash.
They didn't go all the way. I don't get it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, so they could stay. If he were awake, then he would have to go.
That's right.
Well, not necessarily. Ben decided to stay, but.
Well, they didn't get the cosmic card of show up at the church at 9 p.m. on to
right. That's fair, but I just feel like you're right. He just was not. He's not ready to move on, and that's fine. At some point, he will.
Or didn't feel he could move on with that group.
It seems like the wrong group to try to move on with.
Yeah, that's the wrong group because he could make their life hell. Like regardless of how I feel. Also, I think he fears God. If you're talking about moving on, he and the unknown of the white light, like it seems pleasing, but what if it's not, or what if his light isn't white? I feel like he would have had some natural concerns over what moving on would mean versus this is the world that they all created for each other where he's pretty well off. Like he's got Alex back. Danielle even likes him. He's going to, I think I would stew in that for a little bit longer.
So you're saying Ben would get up there and they'd be like, I'm sorry, Ben, you're the
no, Doc would be like, what about you?
And that could be what he's afraid of.
If he walked in that church, Juliet's ass would get up off that church pew so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the room. He's like, not for me.
Get out.
Yeah. Well, Ben is definitely the outsider from that group that's in that church, like you guys said. I mean, and he's not. That's not, like you said. That's not the group of people he should be moving on from.
But if John can forgive him, Juliet couldn't forgive him.
John, he tormented John for like how long? Whoop-de-doo.
Well, he killed him.
Way to minimize.
Oh, I mean, I guess, he did kill him.
He did kill him.
I was thinking about in season 3 when he got shot through the.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying if John could be the big person, like I said, I wouldn't. I'll be honest, I wouldn't forgive Ben. I'd have been, no, I don't forgive you. Go away.
killed
and
him.
Rousseau shouldn't either. I mean, he stole her
No.
child from her. Like,
Yeah,
she
and-
should have the afterlife with Alex. Ben shouldn't be involved with that. I mean, I know he
But
raised her, but he stole
at
her.
some point, just remember they're going to have that moment, and she's going to remember everything, and it's going to ruin.
And she's
all
gonna
the
shoot him.
stuff that he's enjoying. So it's coming.
She's gonna say, "Why don't you come over? Come in the garage. My daughter's in here, and rig it with explosives." And he's gonna go in. He's like, "Hey, where's Alex?" And, and he's dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, do you guys agree? Now, I know we try not to say too much on John Locke, but I do feel like though it fit his character very nicely that he did forgive Ben, because I feel like that fits John's character that he would forgive him. Do you guys agree? 'Cause
I
feel like
I
it
do.
does.
I agree
Okay.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in like a really bad way, but like he's kind of always was sort of like would just go along with whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like with his dad, like even after all that stuff happened, he still let him get in the car and he's like, "Hello, sir," or whatever. You know, like he's
exactly.
he's kind of gullible.
That's John Locke.
Well,
Love
he
it or
couldn't
hate
kill-
it, that's him.
Yep.
That's who
John
he
Locke,
is.
we can see John Locke has had no problem killing people. Naomi, there's other people. He had a chance to kill his dad, and to get to the next level, whatever Ben was trying to do with him. This guy had stole his kidney, pushed him out the window, disowned him, and yet he couldn't kill his dad. So I would think he would say.
Well, everybody has their weakness.
Yeah. I'm not saying I could do it, but I'm just saying if you've killed anyway, what's one more person? And is he really? He's not been a father figure to you.
Yeah, where's this panel stand on patricide? Let's do a show of hands here. But John forgiving. I think the show got to do so much with Terry O'Quinn because you do get to see Locke in The Flash Sideways. You do get to see him playing that role and kind of navigating what it means to be this vulnerable dude who's hit by a car again. Oh my God. Or like suffers severe injury again. But at the same time, you get the darkest character. When he tells Desmond that he's going to kill Rose and Bernard, and he says, "I'll make it hurt." I'm thinking, you SOB, like you are the most evil. Like he gets to play Terry O'Quinn. They really got the best out of him because he just got to play the epitome of evil, the embodiment of evil. I think he gets there. I think he really, by the end of it, you're like, unbelievable. And then you can see him a minute later as John Locke going, "I forgive you, Ben." And they're two different people, like entirely.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I co-sign what you said, Jack, about who probably would be the best actor of this group, and I definitely think it's Terry O'Quinn. But I mean, Michael is right there. Like I think it was Bill that said this, but I totally agree with that. But I think Terry O'Quinn he was so phenomenal.
He does. But Michael Emerson does the one thing really good.
Yeah,
and Locke. Terry O'Quinn literally played two different characters.
Absolutely.
On like Tatiana Maslany or whatever from Orphan Black sort of thing, where like same person, totally different mannerisms, everything.
Yeah.
You could tell it was a different.
Plus, like I said in the first group, he didn't know at first what that character was he was playing.
Yeah, that makes it even more impressive.
He didn't know in season 5 that he was Man in Black.
Right. I mean, I'm sure obviously they gave him key elements of what he was supposed to be doing, but for him to just play it so well and pull that off, it was just phenomenal. It was fantastic.
There's something different about you. It's the confidence. It's like,
yeah.
That still ticks me off that I didn't figure out that wasn't John Locke, because I remember saying on the podcast, I go, this guy, I like this John Locke. He's confident. I would follow this John Locke. The other John Locke I would not follow. And it never put 2 and 2 together. So
yeah,
it ticks me off, but you got to live with these mistakes.
I think pretty much every character had, their big moments to shine throughout the show. Obviously Juliet in every scene she was in. But
agreed.
Like when the freighter explodes, with Sign. That was a huge Yunjin Kim. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like she should have got an Emmy for that. There are numerous times Elizabeth Mitchell, Terry O'Quinn, definitely Matthew Fox crying on the beach. There are just countless, and
crying everywhere.
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't mention any time Saeed cried because I
want to see. I wanted Naveen Andrews to get one more really good. Like I don't like the way Saeed's character was kind of handled after season 3.
I agree. And I know for sure we've talked about. I don't know about after season 3, but especially his final arc I was just going to ask you guys that which characters you feel like once you get the final arc of their character, which one were you most disappointed? I'm with you, Eric. Mine might be Saeed.
Mine wasn't way back to season 3, but I'd say season 6. I think.
Ever
definitely
since
hated the way they ended it.
The whole shooting Ben thing and becoming like a zombie thing, I was just not into the whole way
No.
through. I'm like, they don't know what to do with Saeed, and he's still like so good at what he does. So it's like, let's just get him to do. It's like it felt like a reversion back to, I don't know, earlier Saeed or something. I don't know. I don't feel like they got that character quite right. But but nothing in Naveen's fault. It's not him.
No, it wasn't his acting. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think
they killed off the character.
Yeah, I agree. Once he was, I think we talked about this before. It's because you just had Juliet die. Maybe they didn't want to have 2 major popular characters die at that point. But I think they should. I think
and it's kind of a living death, at that point.
Even then, they had to write in a, for Sawyer. They had to write that in for what Sawyer said. He was like, he's tortured countless people. Of course, he gets another go at it. When Juliet just died, and now Saeed's back to life. Like they even had to write that in to soften this doesn't make sense. But yeah, I don't like the zombie thing. I think he should have died in LAX, and they could have built off that more. But
yeah.
I'm just consistently surprised by all the surprise guest stars. Like I didn't expect to see Boone and Shannon again. Seeing Charlie again, getting Charlie the last couple of seasons, getting him ever since he died a couple of times was great. Anna Lucia, getting to see her every couple of episodes was really just impactful to me. I'm just like, and Libby.
Why do you think they didn't have her go to the? Because remember they have in the episode where I talked about this first one where she said, I think Desmond says she's not ready yet. So why do you think they didn't want her? Because I know she's not popular with a lot of people.
Well, that too. Yeah, somebody on the internet would have been like, it's Anna Lucia's with her, but she did X, Y, and Z with the thing in the other 48 days. No, I think character-wise, she was probably...
It might have been a conflict with Shannon.
She was having fun being...
Again, Locke forgave Ben.
Yeah, I think we last see her when she takes the money from Hurley or whatever.
Yeah.
She's having fun being a kind of crooked cop, being on the take in the LAPD. It's like good for her. She gets to I think that's what she always wanted on the island was kind of, to have power, but to be responsible with it and kind of, I don't know, just bend the rules sometimes.
Well, it goes back to if you believe if this is all Jack's afterlife or everybody's afterlife, blah, blah, because Anna Lucia, for instance, like you said, she has no ties. And like Hurley said, she isn't ready to go. And Desmond says that same thing to Eloise when she asked about Daniel. And we already mentioned Charlotte in that. And, Miles had mentioned earlier in season 6 that he had a girlfriend and he could easily be dating Anna Lucia as a cop. What a coincidence. Maybe they remember in a weird way and be like, oh yeah, we were both on the island, and they move on with Charlotte, Daniel, Eloise, whoever, blah, blah.
I was thinking, was it more of a fan thing? The fans just wouldn't have accepted it.
Oh,
her
being in the church?
Yeah, her being, it's like, why is she there?
Right.
It would have been a distraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nadia should have been at the church. It should have been Nadia and Saeed the whole way through. Is that an unpopular opinion in this group? Wow.
I thought that for so long. I thought that for so long, but there was always, it just never worked out with them. Everything was always dark and it just never went well. And like Shannon, as ridiculous as she was, everything with her and Saeed was seemingly positive, and I think it was kind of a fresh start for him. And I've come around to the idea that that's who he should have been with.
I was like you, Joel, because I wish I would have wrote it down, but Christian says something to Jack, and I go, "Oh, that's why Shannon's here." But I can't remember the line he said. But it basically he says something that Jack. This is whatever he says to Jack. I went, oh, okay. I'm all right. I'm cool with Shannon being there instead of Nadia.
I think
is it what Locke said?
I believe
it was something that Christian Shepherd said to Jack. I thought.
when he was talking about the most important time of your life was with these people. That
might have been it. So it's like, okay, Shannon was. That's what it was. Yeah,
he says that's why all of you are here. Nobody does it alone. You needed all them, and they needed you.
Yeah. We all made this place together.
So when I heard
even though Saeed had a romantic love with Nadia, that is not the same thing as what their journey to enlightenment was on the island. And Shannon and Saeed helped each other reach those parts of.
It's really nice.
He softened him, and he toughened her up a little bit.
The reason that the people that were in the church with Jack was those are the people that helped Jack on his journey to enlightenment. They were directly impacted as part of learning to let go, of learning, all of the things that Jack had to learn on that adventure for him. Those are the people that were directly involved in that.
It was just so nice that Jacob, by scrolling all the names on that cave wall, also played matchmaker and picked some soulmates for each other, where everybody gets paired up with their individual. You were the island with this person, even if it was just for half a season. This is going to be your soulmate. You're going to move. Everybody have a buddy. Everybody have a buddy. You're going to move on with. And it's like, like Nadia. Who's Nadia? You weren't with the on the island.
But you know what's sad is John Locke did not have anybody. He was there alone.
He was there with Jack.
In the sanctuary.
Well, here's the thing. So wait, Hurley created this place, right?
No, Jack.
The side.
Well, actually, you're talking about the sanctuary.
The side universe, the Flash
sideways.
Oh,
I
thought it was all
created.
I took it as Christian Shepherd described it, like you all made this place together. To find each other. And
the only thing that doesn't align with that, and I agree with that, but the only thing that doesn't align with that is that Kate is like, "Why are we here?" And he's like, "Oh, my father's funeral was going to be here." And he says, "Why? Why are we here?" And she's like, "Because your father's funeral was going to be here."
Right.
Like, so is it Jack's?
Why? It's Jack's part, right? It's like all these people play a little bit of an aspect of Jack, but the Sideways was spawned from the incident, if you remember.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. If anybody's to blame for the, Sideways, it's Juliet, or credited for that.
But didn't the fact that it ended up being the afterlife completely make it irrelevant to the incident?
Yes.
Like that was the whole tease was that it was related to the incident, but it had nothing to do with it.
That's the misdirection. Right. Even when Locke in this episode or Man in Black says, we're going to put this island on the bottom of the ocean. Finally,
that's
like hearkening,
which is what you literally see in the opening of season 6, is it being at the bottom of the ocean.
We're meant to believe it was like the offshoot, but I think this is just the eventual purgatory that
everybody would end up in after they die, right?
Well, have you played?
Right. And do we even see any flashback characters, off island characters in the Flash Sideways? Do we ever actually see Jack's wife? Penny's been on the island. Wait, Penny hasn't been on the island.
What's her
Penny's
name?
never been on the island. She's in there in the
Locke's
church.
Girlfriend Helen, right? Isn't she with Locke? Because she's telling him to go get.
Oh yes, that's right. They were going to get married.
In the Sideways, they were going to get married. She convinced him to go.
She's with Anthony Cooper.
Yeah.
So Nadia could have been there.
But Christian said this is a place that you all made together, and I think that's important because I think the incident is what they were trying to accomplish together as a group to get back all the people that they had lost and to have a better future or whatever. Except Juliet was the one who would not have, so that's what makes it altruistic.
And they're very much, they're very much other.
Follow any of that, but
there's more hints too, because like in the Flash Sideways, when Faraday is talking to Desmond, and Daniel Widmore is talking to Desmond, and he's like, I'm not trying to blow up an atomic bomb. I think I already did. And it's like, oh, that's why we're here. The Flash Sideways was created by the incident. Like, it's really clever writing, like misdirection there on that part.
Right. And I will admit, I remember when watching the finale, one of the things I really thought for sure was going to happen is, and as everything's playing out, it started even being more like, oh my God, I'm going to be right. Is I thought at the very end, the island would sink to the bottom. I kept thinking, this is what's going to happen. Like when Saeed and them, they pull out the toilet bowl thing, the light goes away and then the island, becomes vulnerable and everything. I thought, oh, this is it. somehow it's going to sink. I like so convinced with that, but that was just so much creative writing to make you think that's what's going to happen. Now, I'm glad it did not go that way, but I was like so convinced, oh, that's what's going to happen.
Some of the islands on the bottom of the ocean, the whole cliff, like, just
that's true.
What do you think about Jack and Kate's goodbye to one another on the edge of the cliff?
I liked it.
I cried. I cried.
Yeah. It was extremely emotional. I mean, how can you not?
And I think they did really well with Kate's character at the end. I think they really kind of messed her up doing the whole going back and forth things, which Sawyer was doing that as well. But I think that to make there have to be a clear goal, I think that for her to go and successfully succeed in getting Claire back, I think that was excellent.
Yeah, and also to establishing their love, because we did have all that back and forth thing like you mentioned, but I always felt watching it, and it's obviously still to today, but is that's who she truly that's who they truly love. They loved each other, and that's what was so great and powerful about that is they're finally acknowledging I love you, and it was just fantastic. And you're right, her arc was so great.
What's that? She listened to him.
Yeah,
she didn't follow him. For the first time, whatever.
And I think it makes complete sense why Aaron would be part of her awakening. I think the awakening with her and Jack was more so him, because hers had already happened with Aaron. So I think that plays into they got off the island. Kate and helped Claire and Aaron kind of get settled, was a part of his life. I think it's very important that Claire and Aaron were part of her awakening. And that really showed a lot about her character, who they had taken a character and made it kind of the love interest for everything, and will they, won't they, blah, blah. But I think that they did great by kind of sidelining that and focusing on the other relationships.
And for Jack, it was the coffin that really woke him up the
That's
most.
true,
His dad's coffin. I'm like, wow, it's non-romantic.
And he had a flash with Locke. And I love the line when Locke says, I hope somebody does for you what you just did for me. I mean, I think that's when Locke was waking up. But I'm not a big Locke fan, but I think that's a beautiful line. And, Terry O'Quinn, it's like, oh gosh, because kind of what's coming, and you're like waiting, and you see the relief kind of that Locke feels in that moment. And, he's all alone. Jack's confused. So Locke's waking up, knowing who Jack is, but Jack doesn't know him. Whereas everybody else is kind of, Juliet and Sawyer at the same time.
To speak to what's happening in that sideways with John and Jack specifically is mirrored on the events that are happening on the island with Jack and the Man in Black. Okay, that conflict of what's happening there is still triggering the awakening that's in the sideways that's trying to happen until those two events sync up.
Yeah.
So they do go hand in hand. So once you realize, wait a minute, I am watching the awakening of these two men on the island, even though we know what's happening in the sideways. It is happening in both. Just in completely, one has total conflict, the other one doesn't. So, but they all do sync up together in the very, very end.
What took Jack so long to wake up?
He's stubborn.
Yeah, he's not a man of faith. What's he doing in an afterlife?
He's very stubborn. Very stubborn.
Well, by the end, he said Locke was right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what the biggest part of his arc is. He becomes a man of faith.
Exactly.
Little by little, he starts to realize that the way I had been living my life previously doesn't work. So I need to learn to let go. I need to learn to be part of a collective that we help each other. Yeah. I need to learn that I do have a purpose here. I do need to learn there are times I have to let the universe do what it's going to do. I shouldn't have to interfere all the time. He relinquishes control. So he is growing up throughout the 6 seasons. It's little by little where John Locke is growing up too, but he's the one that would take the 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So, each person has this growing up that they are doing. It's all in a completely different way with different outcomes. Some people slip and don't get to move on, like Ana Lucia or Michael, because they're not getting it. It's not clicking. I got to learn from this. They're not, and that's the same thing too. And at some point in the story we hear in season 5, I believe it's 5, when they go back to Dharmaville and they Sawyer says, if I'm not going back to the beach and starting all over again, right? That line,
right?
Because now they're like, what do I do now? We got to leave Dharmaville. They're people are coming to the island, blah blah blah. But that's the point of life. You're going to be presented with the same lessons over and over until you learn from it. So little by little, Jack learned his lessons, not all the way at the same time. Little by little, though. John, the same thing, different way. But again, both of those events on island and off island are literally mirroring each other.
I love that they had it be Jack versus Locke in the end, but it's not Locke, of course, but that had been set up for so long, Jack versus Locke, and then to find a way to have the literal embodiment of evil as Locke, and then Jack as the man of faith going, you wear Locke's face, but you disrespect his memory, and he's just like, they could not be more, it was so perfect.
Still to the very end, I still saw John and Jack as 2 halves of a whole.
Yeah.
I still, that was my perspective, that again, doesn't make it right or anything. It just means, but I saw them as 2 halves of a whole because they were the opposites of each other in every regard and how they learned even. So, but it just, you can't negate the fact that that the things sync up, and they do. And we can't forget this important part, that the island's lesson is life, death. It doesn't stop at death, rebirth. So in the end, we're seeing Jack die on the island, but yet in the sideways, when they're all synced up, he's actually waking up. It's happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. And of course, whatever happened.
Well, yeah, he said there is no now
there is
there.
no
So
now
there is no now.
Yeah, that's fine. That works. That checks out.
Do you guys agree? And I know I'm talking to a bunch of giant Lost fans, so you guys probably are going to agree with this. But I look at it as perspective of someone who spends a lot of time watching a lot of television. I've watched a lot of television my entire lives, and I still feel like that final shot with Jack is one of the greatest final shots of any television show's finale ever.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And, I know Vince Gilligan will never admit it, but I'm sorry. I feel like he stole that shot with a Walter White and the camera going up. Like I'm telling you, man, he stole that from Lost because it's so similar. I'm sorry. Anyway, and don't get me wrong, I love the Breaking Bad finale as well, but I'm just saying, to me,
well,
that
if you're going to
final
steal
shot
something,
is so beautiful. If
Breaking
you're going to steal
Bad
something from one of the greatest shows of all time. Absolutely.
Cite the source, though.
Breaking Bad also stole from Weeds, which did the same thing first with a woman. So, just saying.
Well,
yeah, see Weeds, writing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay.
It's better to me, but yeah.
Yeah, to that point, in the closing line, and Jack, I wonder at what point or at what season it was. We're like, hey, we haven't been back to the bamboo forest recently. Should we write a scene there? And they're like, wait a minute, we could save that for the end.
Yeah,
like have that be the last shot.
Well, Matthew Fox always said he knew the ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well,
that
it
was
had
going to
to
be the
come
eye
full
opening, eye
circle.
closing.
Yeah. The
Well,
story itself is a complete circle.
Yeah, the bookends is so amazing, and I just obviously love that. I mean, you can make an argument whether or not they always intended it that be that way from the very beginning. I don't, if you ask them, they say yes. I'm sure.
I wouldn't imagine they had him getting to the exact same spot to lay down the way he did, but like literally just saying that it was going to open or start with his eye opening and end with it closing. I'm sure they could have thought of that, but like all the in between,
no. That's what I'm saying. I think that he was told that your eyes, you're going to die at the end. That probably was what they told him.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have what I like is the tennis shoe. Because when we first see Jack, there's that tennis shoe. It's brand new, but when he dies, it's all beaten up and old.
Through a lot of time changes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did the tennis shoe flip through time?
It must have.
There's your Disney Plus series.
That's it.
There you go.
Time lapse.
The journey of the tennis shoe.
I'd
Man,
like
talk
to see
about
them
jobs.
building the statue, or something in that time period.
Yeah.
Well, even the I agree with this comment by William here. The music is just phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I
no
still
other
listen
show
to
has
it all
come
the
even
time.
close on that yet.
I would agree there, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
And you can't help but not get emotional every time you hear it too.
That,
Even
well,
when I'm driving in the car and listening to it, I get emotional.
I'm so happy for Giacchino having gone on to do all the major blockbuster. Felt like so happy for him. But some of his best work is still in Lost because of how complex it was. That's so good to hear.
There was a concert in Ireland that I went to, and he explained that Lost was the only project he's ever worked on where he didn't get any studio notes.
Oh wow!
He was in Los Angeles, production was in Hawaii, and every week he got to compose the music how he wanted to. He never got notes. He got to do it every week with a full orchestra, and he says it's his favorite thing he's ever done.
That's awesome.
I mean, he could have been pandering to the crowd that was there to listen to Lost music, but I believe
he has no reason to say it. So
yeah,
right,
yeah.
I was out in LA. I think it was 2019, or was it 2020? 2020 in January, and one of the places that we ended up going for this workshop was the Clint Eastwood scoring stage, and I was wearing a Dharma shirt, and somebody working there was like, that's where they scored. This is where they recorded the first few seasons, like first 4 seasons soundtrack.
Oh wow!
And you were like, "Let me get 150 more photographs of this place."
I'm going back there at the beginning of March. They're doing another workshop, and we get to go back to the same building again.
That's cool.
I just watched a movie last night with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. Let Him Go.
Oh yeah.
Giacchino does the music for it.
Yeah.
It has been really exciting to watch his growth in his career after finishing what he did with Lost. It's been really fun to watch.
I mean, he succeeded John Williams doing Star Wars. I mean, what did he do? Rogue One, right?
Wow, how amazing that must be. I'm sure for him, it was just what a awesome.
And Rogue One was probably the first Star Wars without John Williams scoring, right?
One of the things,
yes,
and it went to Michael Giacchino's unbelievable.
Well, one of the funny things is he did Incredibles in 2005. I believe it's 2005. When was Incredibles? Am I way off? I'm way off on that, aren't I?
That sounds
it's got to be around that time. Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that I know his career started building around the time of Lost, and he was scoring major motion pictures. I think season 3 or season 4 was when he did Mission Impossible 3 for J.J. Abrams. And I feel like any composer who starts getting into films would easily be able to ditch their TV projects and pass it on to somebody else and move on. You don't really see one composer do TV scores like for the entire run. That's rare. And then the fact that it was just him, no one came in to do episode 2x15. He did that episode. He did every single episode from the time that Jack opens his eyes till the time Jack closes his eyes. And what's great about that is you have this singular voice when it comes to the music. You don't have, you don't have any sort of inconsistencies. He watched the show along with everybody else, maybe a little bit sooner. But he got the story unveiled to him the same way we did, one episode at a time. And he had to go on his instinct. He had time to create themes for every individual character and build on those themes. And season 6 is this culmination of all of those themes built together. And then he was really able to, the reason why you're crying, not only is the performances, but the music too.
Right.
100%.
There was a cue that came up on my shuffle last week, and I believe it's just called Oceanic 815. And I started getting teary-eyed hearing it. And it was crazy.
Do you ever
that
just
concert-
drive your car around and listen to Lost soundtrack and feel like you're in Lost for a little bit?
Sometimes. But yeah, if you get a chance, that live performance, I don't know if has everybody seen a concert live, the Lost concert?
I have,
to go
yes.
back?
No.
But we have
I
to
was,
go back.
I was close.
I got your ticket. Your ticket. Yeah, I've gone 3 times. If you haven't, they released the
vinyl.
The vinyl. It's 4 albums, and it's the concert version. So you're getting a real nice sort of
medley
encapsulation of the whole series. And what's great about that album is I believe they have stuff from the finale in there. They have the stuff from the church in there. Because the first time I saw it was at the end of season, right before the end of season 6. So we didn't have the full complete soundtrack, but and there's
Did you guys watch the extended finale, the uncut one, or the 2-episode one on Hulu?
Oh yeah, isn't that crazy? What's missing? I want to know what's missing from. There's
just 17 minutes. I don't know where it comes from. When I watched it with my girlfriend, we finished, and I see one more episode. I'm like, damn it, we just watched the cut version. So we never watched that one, and I watched that one today.
No, on the Blu-ray, it's 143, and I'm like, okay, 143. Then I looked on Hulu today, and it was 2 43-minute episodes. What's missing? Yeah. And then they said the extended uncut, and I'm like, well, yeah, you got to do that.
Why would they make that a choice? It's not like
that's the thing. Why is there?
That's because when Hulu first was airing the episodes, they did cut out of the finale, and Damon Lindelof caught wind of it and said, "You're out of your mind. You need to release that the way it's supposed to be released." So he had a fit about it.
I thought that was on Netflix. When it was on Netflix.
When it was on Netflix, it started. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And there's actually a couple of episodes that have a few minutes missing here and there. Like, that's why you gotta stick to the Blu-rays unless I'm like home cleaning the house and stuff, and I want it on in the background. That's different. But if I'm like, all right, I need to like rewatch, and I'm doing the Blu-rays.
Physical media,
Karen,
you guys.
I'm lazy, Karen. I have to get up. I got to go to the DVD player, put it in,
Yeah, but
that's a good point, though.
I mean, it's on a loop in my house, so I do utilize the Hulu of it. But when I need to like really like get in the zone and zen, I'm going to just pop the Blu-ray in.
I did want to say one more thing about Giacchino, because I'm like Jeremiah, probably most of us. I watched a lot of TV over my life. I'm old, and I've watched a lot of TV. I can't think of too many shows where I could go, the music makes this show. Where I'm trying to think of shows I love, and I'm like,
or where I can name the composer.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
right. Nobody knows.
Or I even pay attention to the music. I mean, there's good shows out there, but it's just like I go, but this one is just. It's just amazing. It's just
most of it stops at the theme song. Like it'll be like, oh, it's got a good theme song, but the rest of the music is generic or whatever. And this show just doesn't have that.
Like Mad Men.
I love all of the music.
I do think though that you can look to this show because I feel like that, especially when it comes to symphonic scores in television, we're getting more and more of that today in today's television since the 21st century has turned around. I mean, I do think we are in my opinion, the golden age of television. And it all started with shows like Lost, where we are today. And you think about some of the great scores that's been written for, whether it's Game of Thrones or even more recently Westworld. I mean, some of this music is so fantastic by some great composers. But I do think Michael's work was one of those first people, like you said, where people are actually paying attention. Oh, wow, who scored this? When I saw Stranger Things, the first thing I had to go, who's scoring this? This is fantastic.
But none of the other shows I watch, although they have wonderful, wonderful soundtracks and they have wonderful music to them, and nobody else's music in a show or movie makes me cry. Only his.
Max Richter for Leftovers doesn't.
No, it's not the same thing. I don't get. Wow. I don't get. But But then again, too, my total relation is with the story of Lost and the characters and everything. So the whole package is wrapped up in that as well. But his stuff just really pulls at my heartstrings, and just makes me cry or makes me reflect, or things like that.
no like spoilers or anything, because Jack, I don't think you've seen 6 Feet Under. Is that correct?
I saw
Oh,
season 1.
That's a good show.
Okay, no spoilers because Jack's not seen it. But you did mention, Jeremiah, about I think you were talking about the best finale, like the closing shots or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I think that 6 Feet Under is right up there.
Really,
that was a good show.
If not,
the ending's pretty.
Surpasses it.
It's good.
Is it as good as the ending of Dexter?
My grandmother.
100%. Yeah,
nothing's
sure.
that good.
Dexter's not done, y'all.
I know. I heard about that.
Nothing
Come back.
excuses it.
My parents and my grandmother both watched 6 Feet Under during quarantine and all that, and they all said that they thought the finale was better than Lost, which was really surprising. I mean, they're not hardcore like I am, but it's my number 2 favorite show after Lost.
Wow, high praise. I have never watched it, but hearing that, I'll finally give it a look.
Yeah, my actual
It's a
favorite
dark show, but it's good.
Is Deadwood is my favorite show of all time. But I know it's on a Lost Rewatch, but
maybe you should change jobs.
And you can't even edit this. It's live.
I know. I had to say it, but
Jack,
I did want to say
all
too.
the wood was dead the whole time in that show.
Was it dead the whole time?
The whole time, yeah.
I did want to say too that I think probably for a lot of us, Lost ruined network television for me.
That's the whole thing. This was on network. We're talking about like Stranger Things on Netflix or Westworld on HBO or Game of Thrones on HBO that have these scores. Right. This was on network television. This was included with your cable subscription.
Yeah. There's I can't.
And all the limitations of TV.
We had to watch
the cursing and like limitation, like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. It's completely uncut.
But plus we had to suffer through commercials when we watched it first run.
Right.
Well,
I actually like the commercials that gave me time to write notes.
So now we have a show where the commercials are important. Talk about a show.
That is true. That is true.
You're right. I told my husband, I said, all these YouTube videos that are like hours long, dissecting every number, every screenshot of WandaVision is what we all did with Lost.
That's right.
Yes.
Everything. And we had months between
We all started that.
Years. Yeah.
And we had a week to try to figure
really
that
funny that we finally, and I thought it was really funny that a lot of people were like, oh, I hate the first 3 episodes or whatever. And I'm like, I bet this is going to have a huge payoff. So anyway.
I can't think of one network show I'm watching right now.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I do feel like Lost is definitely one of the last great network shows. Should we have a moment of silence for the networks?
and movie theaters and physical media.
Yeah.
No.
Jay wants to come back.
Don't let him.
What?
He's back.
Hey, I just saw Zara Ali. Who needs Jay? What the hell?
We need Jay. Hey, Jay. Welcome.
Hey, Jay.
Back.
Good to see everybody.
You want to do your next on Lost?
Sure. Yeah. What would absolutely.
The new man in charge.
Yeah, Jack. I'll see you. I'll see Jack next week for the epilogue episode.
I forgot all about that. I guess we could do
We
that.
gotta do the epilogue.
And
There's so much to talk about.
We need Karen to say 2 halves of a whole one more time.
There, I said it.
No, but it's going to be relevant in the epilogue. You're going to figure it out.
There you go.
But Juliet's not an epilogue.
Well, Colleen, I paid for it. You can come back if you want.
No, don't let her come back. Come on, this is my safe space.
Stay from your wife's space.
Yeah, but I'm the only girl here, so
That's fair, Karen. That's fair. It's very much a can I say
to be fair, I did ask, and that people, some women couldn't do it. So
okay,
I did it. I don't want people to say
hey, listen, it's fine. It's okay.
Sounds like a college years.
Well, I grew up in the I'll stop now.
But it's good to see some of these faces. Good to see some of you. I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a bit. Here's a question for you guys.
All the damn time, son.
Possible spot for criticism here for the Lost finale. Do we love or do we hate that the island has a literal?
Right now.
What's that?
Looks like kick him out right now.
Oh,
We're not drawing lines.
He just gets
We're
muted.
not drawing lines.
no, do we love or do we hate that the island has a literal cork that when you pull it, the drains and then the powers don't work as well and Locke is mortal again or Man in Black? Do we love or do we hate it? I love it.
It worked.
It
It-
worked
Yeah,
for
it's the
me. It
same
worked
thing
for
that
me.
Man in Black
Yeah.
did, and mixing the water with the light, and there had to be something like that.
It was all about the metaphors, but when you get down to
Right,
it,
the
like
meta-
it's
Well, when you
self-explanatory.
When you have a show with a donkey wheel, why not have a cork?
Okay, but we have the reboot. It's a reboot, which is also another word is rebirth. So it's all part of the metaphor. but we have the reboot. It's a reboot, which is also another word is rebirth. So it's all part of the metaphor. but we have the
Am I the only one getting feedback?
reboot.
Yeah,
Something's
Colleen, I
happening.
think you're listening, possibly. There we go.
Oh,
We're all like, what's going on?
I
Joe was making
All
great
right, we
points,
heard you.
more than
I
once.
really-
Right.
I don't want
I
to
was
hear
like, man,
myself
she
that often.
really has this down that she's just saying it exactly the same again.
I thought it was me. I go, what is going on?
I was like, WandaVision, there's a clue.
The whole time I was listening to you guys, and I was like, man, they're having a great discussion.
Anyway, yes, on Colleen's computer is a software that I use on all the computers for the thing. It's called Loopback, which basically then I'll channel in the audio from the
Yeah, they don't
Is that
care.
a- is that a loop thing?
Loopback.
Oh, loop back.
Loopback.
You guys,
But we talked about Lost merchandise is still available. Why haven't they done one of those wine bottle stoppers that's the cork with the runes on it?
Yeah.
They need like those
Oh,
runes.
Yeah.
Shaped, shaped like the bottle that
Mhm.
And it-
Man
I
in Black
need
had.
that.
And it's
you have an
400 pounds.
Etsy shop. Whoever
and
has an
it's-
Etsy shop, somebody make that. We'll buy it.
Yeah.
I would buy
I
that in
need
a
that.
heartbeat.
And I happen to drink a lot of wine, so I
Yes.
I mean, I always wanted to 3D print Jughead like in the little thing to set like on the desk.
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something that Lost does so well. Like, I'm so happy to see just a giant prop or a giant set piece that's so simply explained. It explains itself. It's just like you see it and you're like, oh, that's clearly what went wrong. Even Jack is like, oh yeah, you just pulled the stone out of the hole. Is that all I got to do? It's tying Desmond. Okay, great.
I was
Or like
going to
instantly
get a box.
recognizable, like this one of the camera
Did
security
you
camera
bid on
things.
that? Is that a legit? prop?
No,
he stole it.
I stole it. Yeah.
oh, he made one. Like, he got it from Etsy, and then he, like,
I also got a few of the speaker
Here's where
things
Ralph
that go
gets
with
his Dharma Lars box.
oh
You
God,
know, Ralph.
no.
I'm trying to think if I have
can't-
anything from the set. No, just
So I don't know. He mentioned like Jughead, but I literally own Jughead, but I can't go over there right now because it's in a big display case. I brought it on.
I have a hat that was never on this. It was on the set, but never.
There
on
it
the
is.
set.
So you have a piece. You have Jughead, Caleb.
Yes, the one.
Dharma
Jughead, yeah.
Lars.
Go back to the incident episode on
Yeah.
here, and I brought it out and actually had it showed it up close and set it up.
That
behind
is
me.
so cool.
Oh, the statue.
Oh, we
Yes, I still have my statue.
ours isn't real.
That's awesome.
You've got
I have some actual wire and rope twine that they tied the raft together with. That's all I have.
I grabbed
As
it. I
far as
grabbed a
goes on.
twig or like a stick from there with some twine around it and like a piece of
Yeah.
tarp.
Oh, and I took a
Oh,
piece
that-
of Echo's. I took a piece of Echo's church when I was there.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah,
the
when
sound
we-
of
I have
some of the
I have my memories.
That's Juliet's costume from.
My
season-
wife
for
wouldn't let me
long.
buy anything.
pieces that I've got. Oh, stop it! Ralph.
Oh, I like
Ralph. Yeah.
So when we were in Hawaii,
Well, you're gonna tell this story, aren't you?
I just
We have the pieces that
Yeah,
fell on the ground. That I don't know.
and anybody that kind of hung out, they basically certain people would take you to the plane, the wreckage of the oceanic plane. They had it just sitting off on the side of the road.
So
And
Beth
so-
took us and we found it on the ground and then we just took it.
Yeah, we took a bunch of pieces. Basically,
I did not take it. That was wrong.
So I have pieces of the oceanic plane around.
That's amazing.
Anyway,
They are bootleg scavenger pieces, but we have.
I did go on the cockpit and scrape parts of the pilot off. I do have that. I have it in jar.
That explains your bad luck. That is like the Greg Brady shark thing.
Anyway, so
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Jackie, you're kind of. This is it. This is the end of.
This
is
is
an
the
era
end.
for you.
This is the end.
He's happy. He wants to go smoke a cigar and be done with it.
Well, it's mixed. I said earlier, it's mixed emotions. It's always fun to talk to everybody about Lost, and because the Lost community is, I'm not just blowing smoke up people's butts. It's the best community out there, without question.
We should do like a lightning round where it's like favorite character, favorite episode, favorite season. Go.
What's everyone's favorite line from the finale? Did you write any down while rewatching?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Okay, so mine actually is when Christian says that this is the place you all made together. You needed them as much as they needed you, because for me in my journey at that time when I was sick, that's literally how I felt about the show, and the community was it. Literally, the show came at the perfect time in my life. All of you people came into my life at the perfect time, and I did need the Lost story and all of you so much, and it's because of all of you and the story that brought me to here and the Karen I am today. So I did need all of you, and I needed Lost. So I totally related to that line very, very much.
Oh, Karen.
I love you guys.
The duct tape line is also classic. And we love you, obviously. So that
Obvi.
I love the we can go Dutch, obviously, but they kind of did that in LAX. So the one that, like I mentioned earlier, really has this punch, emotional punch for me now is the "I've missed you so much" from Kate to Jack.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I had a weird reaction to, because I'm like recently divorced. I had a weird reaction this time watching through to seeing Jack and Juliet interact so pleasantly in front of their kid. I don't know. Just thought it was really
Well, that
was so not what my experience is.
That was her, that was more for her than it was for Jack, because that was her positive, afterlife experience after she had a terrible relationship with her ex-husband. In, Flash Sideways, she had a positive one with Jack.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
I will circle back to Juliet all day.
I agree with what you were saying before, Karen. I'm really sorry that it was like a pure Jack thing. And I mean, we talked about this we don't need to reiterate it, but I do think it was everybody got a little bit of something.
Yeah,
definitely.
Just the camera person was just like, it's Jack's thing. But if you were going to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern it would be everybody's.
Yeah. We watched however many characters have their own journey to enlightenment, or however you want to say the adventure went. But there's so many times that in the episode that there would be specific things that happened that made me feel like at times this is all about Jack, and all these other people almost are all these they're acting as these facets of Jack. So there was times that I'd have those feelings just in certain episodes. But
I think something important that I may just be catching on to right now, if I can say it eloquently, I think that, there's this debate over if it's Jack's afterlife, is it everybody's and everything like that. And then you go back to LAX, and I just mentioned it where Juliet says, we can go Dutch. So this is happening to her, like you said, Karen, simultaneously. Right. So if we, really hope I don't lose my point here, but if we bear that in mind, then if everything, I think Christian says, this is a place you all made together so that you could find one another, blah, blah, blah. If you want to take religion out of it, and just have like the fact that nobody knows if there's an afterlife or not. And so if you die, you're dead and that's done. Then you would have the island or whatever these people made this place for one another. As in, this is not the afterlife per se. This is this,
it's the place of
purgatory
rebirth.
thing.
It's a place
right
for the next step, for the next part of that rebirth. That's why I personally don't take the religious aspect of the show. I do, though, take a more spiritual idea of it, again, because for me, my perspective was this was a journey to enlightenment the whole time. So I've never wavered off that perspective, but that worked for me. That doesn't mean it's everybody else's, of course.
And I always watched the show as a sci-fi show.
Right.
And even that spiritual thing, even though it is based around spirituality, I still felt like, oh, this is something that's been created through some sort of science.
This was my first sci-fi show. I had never seen anything that had any sci-fi elements prior to Lost, and it just like opened up my world to all these other shows.
But what's great about the finale is the window has the symbols of all the religions, and that it's inclusive. It's saying that it doesn't matter who you are, we can all be together. And even though I'm not a religious person or a spiritual person,
I'm not either.
But what's great is that we can work together. We don't have to be at odds fighting about what's right or what's wrong.
Absolutely.
It's allowing everybody to have their own point of view and move forward and
through all that, though, we're all capable of having an awakening to the things we need to let go of. And that's that's the lesson. But we can't let go of that old part of yourself, that old you. You have to let it go so that you could become a new person. So it's not always about literal death on Lost. It is about, sometimes it's strictly about life, death, and a rebirth, that you're getting to leave your old self behind, and now your new self is
It's the moth. It's the moth.
It's the moth. It's exactly it.
And I take away a lot from this finale, them being the connections that they made with people. It for some reason this time struck me as like, oh, I got to try to make more meaningful connections, like in my life, so that I can someday look back at stuff.
You got to go easy on yourself. It's COVID times, man. Don't be too hard on yourself. Like, I haven't made any meaningful connections lately. Listen, the whole thing is kind of right now, but it's going to be okay. After this, we'll have a bar or a beer at a bar.
I know this has been mentioned.
We'll have a whole bar.
I know this has been mentioned a lot, I'm sure, many times as we've done all these casts, but definitely one of the things I always have taken away from Lost is the importance of remembering the people who mean to me, like my loved ones, what they mean to me and how important they are, and those relationships. And that's kind of what you guys are saying here, is that's one of the things I've taken away from this show, is the importance of that. It's
I feel like other people don't get it. Like people that haven't watched Lost.
Well, then they're not watching the show.
But no, I don't mean they don't get lost. I mean they don't get that feeling about those, trying to make those meaningful connections. I'm sure they do in other ways, but the way everything ties together, and like I want that in my real life.
Right.
That was the craziest.
And I feel like other people are just like, what are you talking about? Don't worry. And that stuff doesn't matter.
For a period of time, that felt like the biggest sci-fi element of the show was people showing up in other people's flashbacks. That to me felt like, oh my God, like it's supernatural that these people have interacted before. Like that was the highest concept thing for me, but it just comes down to
home inspector. What?
Connectivity, like the interconnectivity of all of us as humans. The show just blew me out of the water with that.
But it had something, but all these aspects were something that could be, it had something for everybody, right? Like I'm a big person that like believes like the universe and we all, are interconnected or whatever. So like for me,
karma,
love every single part of, every time somebody else showed up in somebody else's thing. Because, it was, that very big like karma thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it made it cool too. You go, they're Saeed.
Yeah. If you're paying attention, you can, that's,
well, yeah. That's one of the biggest tenets of like
Lost rewarded that in for the viewer. Like that's not been satisfied since then. Since Lost, I don't think anybody's got it right.
Well, WandaVision, you mentioned. is I think starting to be, as Caleb was saying too. I think that's starting to be. There's something to that. There's like hidden things in Wanda's closet when she opens it, masks for other characters that haven't appeared yet on the show, like crazy stuff.
There totally is. But the one knock I would put on WandaVision is it starts so damn slow compared to Lost, where it's like,
oh my god, it's only 2 episodes now.
I'll be honest, first 2 episodes, I go, I don't know what they're trying to do here. They're just trying to mimic.
Okay, yeah, I
sitcoms.
will admit that I definitely moved away from the couch watching it and moved to the table to surf the internet. I wasn't paying attention much the second episode.
It's 25 minutes. At least it's not that much of a time suck on you, you know.
True. But it's great now. Like I think it's paid off really well. And
nice Modern Family on the last one.
Do we agree? Do we think that like things like Marvel using the post-credit scenes are little extra Easter eggs because of something that like Lost brought to the table?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No doubt.
No,
I mean, they know people are watching TV. If you grew up in the Lost era and you watched it, you were exposed to trying to watch a show a different way because you're looking for clues and information. Now they're making shows knowing, well, everybody who's watching grew up watching Lost and they're watching TV differently. So we need to utilize that.
You have to keep people's interest.
Yeah.
Because we're in the world. I mean, I'm just as much guilty. I'll look at a YouTube video. I go 2.5 minutes. I don't have time. It's if it doesn't catch my interest, I just go. I'm moving on. I'm not. I don't have time for this.
But I think, but I also think it's kind of a, clearly Damon Lindelof et al. Were influenced by comic books and these other things.
Yeah. Yes.
And then now these series based on comic books are now coming out, influenced probably partially by Lost, but it's kind of this neat little, circle of influence with each other. I think is pretty cool.
Yep.
Joel just broke something or dropped something on them.
Oh, I just tried to grab my phone and moved like 7 cords across my desk. Sorry about that.
I thought you stole something else from Lost.
Sure.
I was trying.
So basically, next time there is a Comic-Con in person, you guys should all come to the Jay and Jack panel to hear all of this talked about again. But
actually, you could be on the panel.
And Ralph,
Right.
Ralph is always on it.
Ralph usually moderates the panel.
Right.
Eric, you used to go to Comic-Con.
And people show up anyway. Ralph's moderating it.
I'll have to show up in the room and say hi, and
I love
I've never got to go to.
There's a library in San Diego that's like it's not in the main convention anymore. We're back over that way, but it's still part of it. We still get free tickets. That's what it's important.
Luckily, the Chargers didn't get their stadium. We'd be even further away.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you'll still always fill a room because there's always people to talk about
True.
Lost.
It's very
That's right.
I wanted to make sure anybody watching this right now, make sure to hit that like button down below if you haven't done it already.
Definitely.
Well,
The free publicist in Jay's.
I didn't want us to finish this discussion without being able to call out. I don't know. Maybe we know there's a story here about Jorge asking the writers if he could do this, but the finale episode of Lost actually opens with Jorge saying, or Hurley saying, "I have a bad feeling about this," and then the opening credits. He's just accused Jack of being a sucky Yoda, and then he says, "You have a bad feeling about this," and then Lost.
That's
like
that. I think
he
is
must
a
have been
Damon
begging
thing.
to do that. He must have
I think
absolutely
it's a
been
Damon.
begging. Damon,
Really?
just like this is the episode where we're going to mention Star Wars, or we're going to heavily allude to like that's such restraint to hold back the 100 and however many episodes before that.
And at some point, somebody has to yell, "It's a trap!"
Movie thing in
But
the 70s.
yeah, Hurley wrote like the sequels.
Yeah, a lot of Star Wars references.
There a whole episode in season 4 dedicated, like a Miles episode dedicated to.
That was
Oh yes, some like it Hoth.
Ewok suck, dude.
But yeah,
I'm pretty sure all of that is Damon.
Yeah,
crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean,
I've known Jorge for 13 years, something like that. I don't think we've really ever had a conversation about Star Wars.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could be good podcasting.
Except, how come you're not watching Mandalorian? That's the only conversation.
Man, one thing I'll always say is I always have to be honest with my friends when they talk about the Lost finale, especially the ones that, of course, don't get it and are not fans of it. Is that I selfishly, of course, did love the fact that my two of my favorite characters wind up being the ones in charge of the island after everything was said and done, because I don't think I would have ever guessed that was going to happen. Like, if you would have told me during the run of the show that at the end that Ben and Hurley were going to be the ones that are going to run the island, I would have been you guys are full of crap.
Exact opposites.
Yeah, they're exact opposites on the show, and I would have never dreamed that would have happened. But the fact that it did happen does make it just that much more satisfying for me personally.
What's great is there's that footage from the DVD extras where Jorge's reading the finale script for the first time, and they shot the video.
I've never watched the season 6 extras. I wanted to save it.
Well, I'm. This might spoil you, but I
don't care about spoilers. I'm just saying I saved it saying something new.
It's been 10 years.
As he reads the script for the finale, he starts tearing up. And I want to say he says it's me. And like, he's so excited that he's the one that takes over. You gotta watch it. It's gonna make you cry. It's great.
Just up in that cry count.
Wasn't Jorge wearing a Jay and Jack shirt in that, or was that the previous?
That's 3. That's season 3.
That's season 3.
That's cool.
DVD that
in the DVD extras.
Yeah. One of them Jorge wore the Jay and Jack shirt. He wore a Darmlar shirt another time, but he wore ours.
But it was on Ace of Cakes. It was on television. He wore the Darmlar shirt.
Okay, and mine's on freaking the DVD. So it'll be there forever.
Forever, because no one watches Ace of Cakes.
I like Ace of Cakes.
I like it.
Is Ace of Cakes still on?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
They probably have stuff on the extras.
British baking.
Oh man. Anyway, wait, why am I closing your show, Jack? Sorry.
I was just about ready to say it though, but if you want, for old time's sake, do you want to end this?
No, there you go.
This is your.
I was the one because I was always one that kept talking. You'd be like going,
mute
Wait, but I do want to thank Jack though.
Yeah.
Jack, thanks so much for reaching out and asking for me to come throw my 2 cents in here and let me just ramble on. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate the company all the time and meeting new people. A few of you I haven't met before. And it's just been a thrill and a blast. And I loved every second of it. And I can't thank you enough. Really, very much. Thank you. And congratulations for getting us all this far.
Yeah.
Also, Jack, I want to thank you for watching Screen Geeks every Thursday.
I do watch it every Thursday.
Me and Jay really appreciate it.
Let's go around the horn. Let's give Jack some praise. Anybody else have any thoughts here on Jack?
You don't have to give me praise. I'm
Jack rocks.
Yeah, the biggest thing I can say is, although all of our Lost journeys were parallel to each other, but I didn't know these people that I've had the pleasure of paneling with on the various episodes that we did, and it has been a tremendously meaningful experience, and meeting how smart and charming and funny and thoughtful, and how the show that we all share impacted everybody, and it's just been a real amazing journey that Jack made happen. So thank you, Jack.
Absolutely.
And it's been a gigantic honor for me to not only be on here and to do this and talk and and also too that I feel like our friendship has even built even more from this, and I really cherish it. And it's been meant a lot for me.
Yeah, Jeremiah, it's really weird when he's just like, he's my favorite Jeremiah. I was like, my name's Jeremiah.
Did you have to remind him?
I never call you Jeremiah though.
No, but still, it's fine. It doesn't hurt me or anything.
It doesn't.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Cut you deep.
Daddy issues.
I thought this was a cool thing to be a part of.
Wait, Joel, is your real name Jeremiah?
I thought this was cool to be a part of, having listened to the original Jay and Jack run. And this time getting to participate in it that's pretty cool. I mean, considering how long ago that all was, and that somebody's still pushing it forward and still continuing it it's cool. Nostalgia is great, but like it doesn't even feel like nostalgia, but it sort of is. It's fun to be able to participate.
What's great about what Jack has done is bringing all the panels on and having these conversations. It's not just an hour of, hey, remember when that happened? And it is like a legitimate, good, engaged discussion.
That's how I wanted it to go. But
I'm sorry.
People wouldn't cooperate. They wanted to talk about what they wanted to talk about.
I came on earlier and was like, remember when I almost got Jeff Fahey killed?
I'm gonna rewind and listen to that story. That sounds like an amazing story.
Remember when Juliet saved everybody?
Here's the story.
No,
we're all really drunk. And
I remember that night.
The bar, and Jay was like, "Hey, everybody, it's Jeff Fahey," but it was a bunch of Lost fans, and they swarmed him. And then Jack.
I went, no, back up. I remember talking with Jeff Fahey about a toilet.
Wow,
it was
a lot of Patron.
Well, this is at another place, and he was like, "Going, you got to see this toilet. It does everything." And it literally, it was like the captain's chair of Star Trek.
I really want a toilet or there's seats that you can get to have like the built-in bidet and everything, and the heated warm seat. It's the best.
Oh, this thing had buttons on it. It was like, I know. He said it's got to cost like $10,000. It's got to be like $10,000.
Room, not in the women's room.
I'm just
that's rare. Usually the women get the good stuff.
Anyways, moving on. Any other thoughts, Caleb? Any final thoughts here? Any praise for Jack you want to throw?
Yes, absolutely. I think this has been especially great, obviously. But during COVID and quarantine, I think this has been a great thing for all of us to kind of not only go over our favorite show, but to check in with one another. And you've allowed us to meet so many different people through this, which has been great. And I'm so excited about The Leftovers.
Yeah, starting March 7th, The Leftovers will be doing a rewatch of The Leftovers. Like for me, like I said, the original doing it with Jay was great. I mean, obviously, we can't go back and live those times back, but that was fun. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying not to get choked up here. But anyway, I appreciate everyone who's been on the show from day one. I mean, everybody's been great. It's so much fun. Like I forget who said it, but I think you said it, Eric, getting everyone's different views of this show that we all love. It's just amazing. And everyone who's joined us in the chat and all that fun stuff. And that's all I got. That's hasta luego.
Namaste.
And goodbye.
Leftovers, March 6th. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. We'll see you then.
March 7th.
March 7th.
But thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.